hit me just one day randomly. I was like, I'm going to go to like media outlets. I'm going to go print out flyers. Like, you know, I had my friends and family in New Zealand helping me and stuff. And I was just like, it just happened. I didn't plan. I'm like, oh, you know, this is what I need to do or whatever. It just kind of happened on that day. And I flew back to New Zealand, and then I decided I want to move back here. And I was on a bit of the hype train, you know. I was like, I was feeling good, won all this money, and I blew it. Go out and you do it. You go for that run. Like you were saying, just 1%, you feel 1% better.
Yeah,
That's better than laying on the couch feeling depressed. I'm doing the old walking, like, pretending I'm not looking. I'm like, fuck. And then I get on stage, and you're right, then the spotlight hits you, and then you can't see it. And it actually makes you feel so much better. It's like, oh, thank God. Forgiveness is the bravest thing a human can do.
100%,
you know what I mean?
Man.
And when you start forgiving yourself as well is when you really start to dive into that growth and personal development. Be fucking kind, because you don't know what anyone else is going through. Big or small, you can make somebody's day. It's so easy, and it costs nothing.
So that together we have clarity, direction, and success way beyond what we ever previously thought possible. Here's your host, Frankie Lee.
Welcome back to the Frankie Lee podcast. Guys, today we got another banger. In fact, me and this lad, we actually go back a few years, but I didn't even realise this until we reached out to me on Instagram and we kind of reconnected. But a few years ago, I was in the boxing gym. I think I was with Nathan Webber, and I came across this young man, and we connected back then. But I haven't seen him for about 4 or 5 years. It must be 4 or 5 years since I've seen him. But the man, Chriddy Black, is here. He's former contestant on The Voice, got to the top 20. He's done some amazing stuff. His clip went viral, and actually, when I watched this clip when it came out of The Voice, I thought, I swear I know this geezer.
Not from the singing world.
Welcome to the podcast, mate. I'll tell you now, if me and you don't drop a few bars on this podcast, something's gone wrong with the world, because me and you are literally made. Me, you, and Joel are made to formulate like a boy band, and I reckon that's why we've reconnected.
Yeah, are you growing here, or am I going to shave it off?
Bro, a bald band. We'll do a bald band. We're all over it, mate.
Oh,
mate,
bro.
What a journey you've been on in the last few years since I obviously first met you.
Yeah,
like, man, you're even not blonde anymore.
Yeah, that's different. I surprise myself when I wake up in the mornings and go, "Who's that?
What colour's your hair gonna be?"
Yeah, I'm a bit confused.
I think there's so much that people can learn from your journey, mate. Because obviously, it's quite a pressure going on national TV, performing, and then obviously everything that comes off the back of that, and the kind of journey that happens after that, and the ups, the downs, the mental health stuff. Everything you've been through in that respect. I think we're gonna unlock so many levels to so many people through this, mate. And that's why I'm like so hyped to do it with you, especially as we're like reconnecting after so long. Fucking hell, that's mad, mate. It's mad when you told me. I was like, fucking hell. Like,
kind of like, oh, that's right.
It's amazing how the world works in mysterious ways, isn't it?
It is,
like,
man.
We've both been on this mad little journey since that time.
And now we've reconnected.
I think we both had jobs back in those days.
Yeah.
We both had jobs. We both doing things we perhaps didn't like.
100%, bro. 100%.
Probably both. Obviously, we're both better versions of ourselves now, anyway, naturally. But I suppose we probably weren't both the best version of ourselves at that time either.
Mate, my resume is about it'd go off this balcony.
Yeah.
And it's just everything and anything you can think of. And obviously didn't like it, you know what I mean? I just grew up just going, nah. Couldn't hold a stable job. Wasn't a good look, but I guess that's how I learnt and discovered what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, when did you start discovering that like singing was your passion and you kind of wanted to be involved in music?
You know what? That question's actually always really hard for me to answer, because I started singing and playing a bit of music maybe when I was like 7, when I was really young, but it was just kind of like, you did it as a kid. It was a hobby.
Yeah.
And then growing up, I was probably like, I know I was around 18 because I was at the legal age of being able to go out, and I was sitting at home playing Ordinary People by John Legend. It was my favourite go-to songs, like the first song I ever learned to sing and play together, because I never used to be able to do both. It was either sing or play. When I do both, I was I couldn't do it. And so we'd had a few drinks, and I started singing that song. Because I was a bit drunk and everyone was just stopped and like, whoa. And then I got real embarrassed. I'm like, oh, everyone's looking at me,
Yeah. I
think I ran off into my room, put my guitar away. And I think from that moment, I was like, it gave me a lot of confidence from my friends
Because you think, actually, my friends actually want to listen to me play, so like maybe I've got something here.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that just gave me that little spark of hope where I was like, I always loved. Everyone loves to sing, you know. Everyone loves to. I think if everyone could play an instrument and sing good, we all would. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing.
Fuck yeah, mate. I know a lad in the UK called Aston Marigold who's in a band called JLS, and he's got a good solo career now. And he's had number ones in Australia. Yeah. And growing up on the block with that kid in from my city and that, and seeing what he's done, and you know, he was like, you know, other than One Direction, no boy band in the UK had outsold him in records, and it's just like crazy. It's just like some crazy shit, and just seeing how music changed his life. And obviously, like, I don't care what any man says, right? When you're a young lad, if you could be in a boy band, you would be, man, because there's a lot of upside. I
still would,
mate. I'm telling you now, yeah. When I saw the Backstreet Boys fucking get back together, I was like, fuck yeah, I see why you're doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of cash in that. There's a lot of cash in that. Like, not only that, it can't be any better feeling than that. Like, do you know what I mean?
Nah, you're right. What's this guy's name?
Aston Marigold.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna have a look into him.
Yeah, he's doing bits, man. He went to Jack Hunt School in the UK, and then was it Hereward? One of the two, and I just knew him from like the basketball courts and stuff. Yeah, and he's just smashed it. They came runners up on the X Factor, and then they went and smashed it, mate. Like, unbelievable, mate. And he's a solo artist now. He's got dance schools in London. He's smashed life, and he's just loved life, but. There's ups and downs to this game, as you know. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So let's strip it back with you then. So you obviously gained the confidence through playing in front of your friends. Yeah. Did you then go on a whole little like self-discovery of like playing in bars and pubs and busking and stuff like that, or was that not something that was involved with it? No,
I didn't actually as much. Like I did not. I never really had my own solo gigs and stuff for a long time because I was too. I honestly had. My anxiety levels were so bad. I was too nervous. I was shy. I probably wasn't sure if I really wanted to do that enough. You know what I mean? I was like, no. I was confused as a kid. Like, I still am. Like, I just like, what do I want to do? You know what I mean? And then I would do some gigs with like friends, which would always make it more comfortable for me. And then I actually started to really love that because it was more fun. Yeah. So when I started to get over the nerves and stuff, I was like, it's not even about that anymore. It's actually more enjoyable when you're doing it with a duo or a band or whatever. So I would go down to friends' gigs and just jump up and do a couple of songs and just build it up like that. But it wasn't until like, honestly, over the last, probably since The Voice, you know, since I actually did a show. I completely forgot about that before The Voice. It was in 2017. Yeah. I don't know if you ever saw it. It was this competition called Megastar, right? And it was run by Usher, and it was a worldwide competition, and it was just all through your phone. So you downloaded the app. Yeah, I
didn't see you on it, but I did see that concept come out. Yeah, I have seen something like that.
So it was, and do you know who actually put me forward to it? Nathan
really?
Weber. Yeah, so he's probably the reason we're here right now, that we know each other.
He's such a nice kid, such a good boxer.
Awesome,
nice kid.
Man, awesome guy.
Just a good soulmate, Nathan Weber.
He is, and yeah, he hit me up and was like, "Oh, have you seen this thing that Usher's doing?" and blah blah blah. And I was just like, so I'd been, people said, "Go on The Voice, go on X Factor, do this," and I was like, "No, not interested." I didn't want to go on a show. I wanted to make it as an artist without going through those shows. And I was probably just scared, didn't want to do it as well. Yeah. And then when Nathan showed me this, I had to look into it. I was like, curiosity, you have to. And it was literally a talent. So it's not just singing. It could be anything you're talented, like dancing, like juggling, magician.
Yeah, just trying to find what like raw talent from
all social over media, the world, kind of literally. Thing, yeah. And so you would upload a video of whatever your talent is, post it, and it would get votes. And then the more votes you get, you'd get pushed to the next round. So it was just based off like the community.
Yeah. So it's, at least that way, it's not like one or two, three people's opinions. It's like a collective opinion of the community rather than. Yeah. It's a lot fairer, isn't it?
It is, and it seems like more legit. Where it's not like, Anyway, it was just, I looked into it and I was like, I don't know, I was 50-50, and then I was just kind of like, fuck it, what have I got to lose? Like, I just do it for a bit of fun. If I go far, I go far. So I ended up signing up, simple process, and then I uploaded a song of me singing, I think it was I'm Not the Only One by Sam Smith, and I've actually got a mate, he's like rapping into it. We did like a bit of our own version. It was pretty cool. Yeah. And it just went off, man. I got pushed to the next round, like, and then you upload another video and it just works that way. And before I knew it,
Oh, so each round you upload a different video, so you got to up level the last video and up level.
Yeah. But I put my best video first, so like, because I didn't think I was going to go that far, and I just didn't think. I was just like, I'm going to put it was my best video. I want people to see it. So then when I got to the next round, I was like, shit, what the fuck am I going to put up now? So I posted like something a bit older, and it was still alright. And then I got through. It started getting to like I guess you'd call it like quarterfinals, and then I was there and I'm like, holy fuck, like I've actually got this.
And this is a worldwide competition. This is not
worldwide,
just Australia.
Everywhere. I was up against Americans, there's people from like Spain and all over the world. And I actually moved back to New Zealand at this point because I was in a rut here, man. Like this, I wasn't feeling good about myself mentally. I was just like, I don't know what I want to do.
It's hard. People don't understand like how hard it is when you're not naturally born in Australia. And it's like, even though not New Zealand's closer than England, obviously, but it's like the culture in New Zealand is completely different to the culture in Australia, and the culture in the UK is completely different again to both of them. You know, there's a lot to it. Coming from an island with like 2 million people to even to a country with 26 million, it's still massive compared to where you're from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
You got all your little words and sayings, and it's just homely, isn't it? Sometimes you have to go backwards to reset, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that, because I didn't actually know why I was going home, because I call Australia home. I moved here in 2000, been here nearly 21 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was just like, I had an opportunity for work with a family, like some family friends, and I was like, fuck it. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I just need to get away. So I did. I left, and that's when this whole megastar thing came about, and I'm like, it's just a bit of fun in the background.
Yeah.
And then it kicked off, man. I made it through to the semis, and there was like 10 people left, and then I was like, do you know what I did? I did what nobody else was doing. Everyone just had like a social media following. At this point, I didn't. I had like maybe 5,000 followers or something.
Yeah.
Everyone that I was up against had more than me anyway, at least 10,000 and above. This one chick had like 200, 300,000, and she was working off her YouTube following, which was massive. She was massive on YouTube, like millions.
Yeah.
And so I went, what can I do to
level the game?
Yeah. So I went round to all the media outlets, man. I hit up everyone here in Australia, everyone in New Zealand, newspaper, like, bro, I got flyers printed out, and at night when everyone was asleep, I went out to where I was living in New Zealand and walked around the whole neighbourhood just handing out all the flyers in their letterboxes, like just to let them know that this is what I'm doing, and all you have to do is download the app, go on that and vote for me. It's a click of just a button, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can support your homegrown.
Yeah, and so people really got behind that, because I guess they're supporting somebody. I'm the only person in the country doing this. No one else was doing it, so I think that really gave the motive for people to be like, yeah, let's support this guy, extra motive.
Yeah.
And all the media outlets were all on board, because the top prize for this, if you won, was $1 million.
Fucking life-changing.
And to meet Usher, yeah. So I was like, when I realized, it was just so surreal, and when I realized how far I've actually got, I'm like, fuck, like I could probably do this.
And there's no negative effect to that, is there? Because at the end of the day, you're building your socials and building your following on the back of doing this anyway. So even when you didn't get to the pinnacle, you know what I mean? You've still got all that. Yeah. There's still so much learning throughout
100%, bro.
And the one key takeaway from that I want the audience to pick up on is the fact that, you know what I mean? When you want something, when you find that 1% thing that you should lean into, which is music for you, it's like you'll stop at nothing to make sure that things can move for you. So you've made flyers, you've gone around the neighbourhoods, you've gone door knocking, you've put it in front of media companies.
Yeah,
you're working relentless because it's your 0.1% skill.
Yeah,
people got. That's why it's so important for like people who listen to this and listen to any of my podcasts. It's like, go and find what that 0.1% thing is for you that lights you up, that you're the best at, that you're really puts you on a different spectrum, because then you'll do what you're doing. Yeah. You'll lean into it the way you're leaning into it. Yeah. People got to understand that. You can't lean into things that you don't love.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And you know what? Can I say something on that to everyone that's watching and listening? I didn't actually know what mine was. You know what I mean? I was just there. I was actually in a shit place. I moved back to New Zealand where I actually didn't really want to be, because I do enjoy it here. I think it's better here for me personally. And I did this competition. I was like, yeah, fuck it. And then it hit me just one day randomly. I was like, I'm going to go to like media outlets. I'm going to go print out flyers. Like, I had my friends and family in New Zealand helping me and stuff. And I was just like, it just happened. I didn't plan. I'm like, this is what I need to do or whatever. It just kind of happened on that day. And I was like, fuck. And because of that, Channel 7 pushed me, Channel 9, I can't remember exactly what it was. And then New Zealand pumped me, man. Like all the radio stations wanted to meet me, wanted to help. Like it was amazing. It was incredible.
It's so nice when things really do get behind you like that. I mean, I know that in England, if you get the media on the right side of you, they can really help you. But obviously, on the other side of the coin, there's a lot of negativity in regards to media, especially in England and America as well. Like whereas it's good to see when it seems like when New Zealand gets someone they push it hard. Like I remember seeing that guy that created that. What was that? Was it Chris Brown or someone? He created a viral beat on TikTok or whatever. That guy from New Zealand, he created a viral beat, and then New Zealand pushed him as well. It's nice that they get behind you like that. That's actually the thing. But in regards to what you were saying about not knowing it was your skill, but the reason it was easy for you, and the reason why it was just a thought and then no effort to you to go and put leaflets through the door and no effort to you to go to those companies. And the reason why you did that was because even though you didn't realize it at the time, it's like it's so abundantly obvious now looking back because of how easy it was to do. And that's what a 0.1% skill is. It's what's easy to you but isn't easy to the rest of the world. Like singing is easy to you, and podcasting lights me up, and I find this not in terms of like easy, but I just fucking love it, and it just flows for me. So whatever flows for you, whatever that thing is, and whatever you find that flows for you as in the audience is like that is that there is something in that you can build into something and then monetization will come on the back of you leaning into that. It might not come through the direct thing, like the monetization for this podcast, for argument's sake, might not come through the podcast, probably won't, but it might come through a connection that I meet on the podcast. You see what I'm saying? So you have to think outside the box with these things, which is exactly what you were doing. That's why it's so powerful, bro.
And I didn't you're right, like you said, I didn't know or realize that at the time until when I got to the next stage, you know what I mean? Like after that quarterfinal, I was then in the semi-final because I did these things, and I was I handed out, I think we printed out 1,000 of these leaflets, and I went and handed them all out with the help of my family friends. My parents were here in Australia at the time. They got shirts made up saying vote for Chriddy, and had like this big, because it was a purple, the app was purple. And so it was like a white t-shirt with this purple. I think they still have them, and they were walking around the shops handing out, like, man, it was fucking like, when I saw it, I was like, for me at the time, I was like, oh, that's so cringeworthy. But then afterwards, I'm like, man, that's the most fucking amazing thing anybody's ever done. Like, my parents are going out of their way to make their own t-shirts with me on it.
They're just proud of you.
Literally going around like Robina and Pacific Fair, handing out things and telling people to do it. And like, even if one person out of 100 went and voted for me, it helped. You know what I mean?
It helped.
It's those little things. And so that's when I started to realize, I'm like, no one else is doing this. So basically what happened from there, I got to the semi-final, and then I got through. I actually hit, because it tells you, it was telling you your live position where you were. And I was in like second and third, and then I bounced out into fourth, and then I pushed through social medias, and then I hit first. For the first time, this chick that I was telling you about, who has heaps of followers on Instagram and YouTube massively, I pushed her to second, and I think she started freaking out, and then I think she started watching my socials and realized what I was doing, so then she started pushing for it more. So we were first and second, but that was massive. That was a huge, like, that part for me was massive, bro. And when I went into first place, I was like, holy shit, man, this is real, you know what I mean? And that's when the final 5 got locked in. And then so we were contacted by the organisers of this app, and they basically just said, look, this is our top 5. The positioning's now not going to, it won't be seen, so you won't know which position you're in. So from my understanding, I was first or second. And then it was just a matter of, look, we're flying everybody over from wherever they are in the world to LA. You're going to come to the studio, and then you're going to battle it out for the first place, and you'll get to meet this person. So it was like a dream come true. And I was like, is this a stitch up? You know what I mean? I got on a call with them. They're based in LA, and they went through all the details with me, and before I knew it, I was flying out like the next week, and I was just like,
that's some
holy
crazy
fuck.
shit.
And at the time, I was working for my family friend's kayak business. They do really well. They're like one of the biggest kayak companies in New Zealand, in between the North and the South Island. And it's beautiful. So I was there just like carrying kayaks, washing, cleaning, you know what I mean? It was fun. It was all right for me, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And then the next week I was flying over to LA to be in literally the biggest studio in LA, where Usher, all those artists' work performing a song to potentially come first.
And that was your first taste at that point of like, okay, this is what my life could look like if I really push this music thing now. If I stop playing at it and I really start going all in on it.
Yeah, and it was like the big thing to it mentally was like, look at what I just did over the last week or two, just pushing and working hard for that and to get me here. You know what I mean? And that goes for anyone. If you can do that in a couple of weeks and then get, some results out of it, imagine what you could do for the rest of your fucking life. Yeah. And so, and I haven't been driven like that every single day since. I'm a human being. Like, I have my days and stuff. But I think you're right. It was the moment when I realized this is what I want to do. This is a taste of it. Imagine what could happen or what could, in the future, what it could be like if I push.
So I just want to say something on that because I think you'll resonate with this. It's like, there's this book by Seth Godin. It's called The Dip, and I suggest everyone who listens to this podcast reads this book called The Dip, Seth Godin. And when you're leaning into your 0.1% skill, like your thing that lights you up, or anything, any job, you'll get to a point where you have a dip, right? Say with this, let's take this podcast for example, yeah, Chriddy. Like, I could put out 50 episodes and then all of a sudden like my analytics aren't changing for the next 25. I'm still doing it, but it's in that 25 and then it might explode on the 79th one, right? And it might go stratospheric, and that's what you call compounded growth, and that's what they term as the dip. That point in time where you think nothing's happening, but unbeknownst to you, you're compounding your own growth on the back end of it. But you've just got to keep doing the reps. Yeah. So the only thing that me and you need to concentrate on in life is you just need to concentrate on writing that next song, putting out that next song, writing the next song, putting out the next song. Me, getting that next podcast done, putting out that next podcast, turn up, doing the reps. When you do the reps, the rest of it takes care of itself because people will resonate with what's passionate to you. So eventually you're going to start getting to where you need to get to, but you just got to be willing to turn up and do the reps.
Consistency,
mate. Like at the end of the day, what my first podcast got like, fucking 1 or 2, 3 listens. Like when it was just me recording it in my room, like over 12 months ago, like when I was stuck in England, one time. It just goes to show you where you can go to if you put your heart and soul into something and just understand it's just one rep at a time. It's not this big, there's no big end goal in this. Nah. Do you know what I'm saying? People put too much energy into I will get to this pinnacle.
It's too much pressure too, man.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Like the biggest songs in the world, for example, aren't written overnight. The biggest podcasts in the world didn't just happen overnight, but people only see that result because they don't see the shit that goes on behind closed doors,
100%,
which is normal. And I think a lot of people understand that more these days, but it's like, your podcast could be huge in 3 months, in 3 years. Like you said, you don't know when, but people start coming to your podcast when it blows up and they're like, oh man, this guy's killing it. Like overnight sensation and it's like,
it's
fuck no, man. I've been grinding on this shit for like 10 years. You don't know that. Like
I grinded like over 12 months to get into the top 100 in the UK. Top 50 in Australia, top 50 in Ireland and other countries. But you grind the fucking 12 months for that. Not to mention how much money you put into it yourself and how much time you put into it and how much effort you put into it to give the content out to the world for free. To add value to people's fucking life. Do you know what I mean? Like people got to see that, Just because they see us here having a conversation and they think, oh, that's for free. It's like you're investing your time. I'm investing my time.
It's time.
It's time. Not only that, you got all the added costs when the video production, all that stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see, and that all comes down to the reps. Just be willing and open to do the reps, which is clearly what you've done and clearly why you're going to win long term. Yeah, it's like it's the same thing, man. Like that's fucking buzzing.
I love that shit, man. I love that.
It's just real talk, man. You got
it is. Yeah.
You got to be real. Like people get so much shit twisted, man. Yeah, they think you're. Some people will over egg you and think you've made it. Other people will underplay you and think you're not worked to get there. And both are wrong. Both are fucking wrong. It's in the middle. It's what you don't see between the lines. There's a lot between the lines that a lot of people don't see. Just give people the fucking kudos for it and just let them go. Do you know what I'm saying? Support people.
And a lot of people say, work hard to get where you want to be, and And then there's just people. There's always going to be negative people. You're always going to have people that just say, "Oh, but what about a bit of luck in this?" Like, of course, there's luck involved in nearly anything you do. Like, whether it's this much or everything.
Yeah.
But like a lot of people I'll use Justin Bieber as an example. Like, I'm sure as a kid he wanted to be a musician. He wanted to, to be an artist.
Yeah.
He was singing. He was playing. He was talented. And he was young.
Yeah.
But there was a fuckload of luck involved in him, Scooter Braun, finding him, taking him to Usher, and then it all kind of unfolding. And I'm not saying he didn't work hard. I'm not saying once he was signed, bro, his life changed. He was no longer an ordinary kid. He was the biggest.
He for everything that he gained when he signed the record deal, he lost in other ways.
Exactly.
And what he lost was his childhood. I remember when he came out to Australia, his security team were having to give contracts to girls, non-disclosure contracts to girls, because obviously, like, if he slept with one of them, they didn't want shit getting out about him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, imagine being a 16-year-old lad coming to Australia and having to have girls sign non-disclosure fucking contracts because just in case you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how can you be 16 years old in that environment? It's just fucking crazy, mate.
Exactly.
It's just fucking crazy. There's people hiding in laundry baskets to see there's fucking shit going on. But if you look at, he's happy now and he's doing good shit now, but he went through a lot of mental health problems.
Yeah, and that's the shit that we know about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? This is the shit we only know about. Like, it could have been a lot worse. You hear things no one really knows, and except for him. We just hear about, oh, bro, he's gone through a lot. That's hectic. Like, glad he's done well. But it's like, it could have been 10 times worse than that. We don't know that.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, look at all the stuff that Britney Spears is going through right now.
Oh, bro.
Like, that's some
we're down a rabbit hole.
That's some toxic energy. No, because I think it's good that we're going down it. And obviously we'll speak about the voice first. But like, and then we'll go into the mental health aspect of this, because I want to touch on this massively, because I think you're someone who can give a real insight into this.
Yeah, 100%.
Because people don't hear it and don't hear about it enough, like some of the stuff that you do. Because obviously you've climbed to that high. How did you feel then when you came off that? Was it because there was a couple of year gap between that and the voice, wasn't there?
Yeah. So after this whole megastar thing, just to kind of finish with that, I ended up coming second. Yeah, and it was a prize money of $25,000 US, which was awesome.
That's a big difference between a meal.
It is. That's the other thing. I was trying to be really grateful anyway, but at the time I was like, I loved it. But then looking back on it, I'm like,
you bastards.
Yeah, it's crazy.
$500,000 would have been nice. US.
Oh man, even $100,000. Like, yeah. But so what I ended up finding out was, so the chick that won it
was a YouTube bitch, right?
Yeah, of course.
You're not welcome on the podcast, Alex. I'm telling you now, we're not giving you no hype.
I won't even say her name then. No, she's actually really talented. She's done. She got massive on YouTube, just doing covers and stuff. And I've never really heard any of her own music, but she is good.
What's her name?
Andy Case.
Oh, Andy Casey. Yeah, I like her music, bro.
Yeah. I'll see you later.
Oh shit, she's hot too. To be fair, like,
that's probably why she won.
She's won, mate. She won because she's blonde and spicy. Let's just be real.
And the other thing was, she's from the States, so there was always people like, they're always going to pick a local.
I always wondered where she came from, because I always see her stuff on Facebook and YouTube.
So she got massive. Her YouTube video first. I don't know if it was her first YouTube video, but one of her YouTube videos. It was her and two guys. A guy driving, he would harmonise with her, and the bigger guy on the back playing guitar. And that's what blew up.
I used to watch the
same. So did I.
I can't believe it.
When I was up against her, I was like, I actually remember watching this chick. They got like 50+ million views on it. It's crazy.
You know what's going to happen? She's going to come on the podcast and I'm going to have to fucking... Isaac's going to edit that clip in. And there you go, fuck that chick. It's going to happen, bro. I just thought energetically that it's going to happen. I literally thought, and when I have these thoughts, it usually fucking turns out.
100%.
Like in a year's time, I'll be on the podcast in America or something. And like, that'll be up and oh shit. I remember saying that now.
Yeah, like about a year ago. I was actually on the show with your good mate Chriddy.
I was actually calling you.
We'll rewind. But she was lovely, man, and she deserved to win. And it came down to us too, which was awesome. We got to meet Usher. I got some really good contacts over there. It was a great experience. And then I came home, and the hype, it just dies slowly. Sorry, not slowly, fast. Yeah. But it kind of felt like it was forever at one point, and then all of a sudden,
you're not relevant anymore.
Nah. Exactly what happened, which then
How does it feel when you go to not being relevant like that?
To be honest, it was probably not as bad then because, and when we start talking about The Voice, I think it was a lot more hype because this megastar thing, it wasn't as hyped up. I think it was kind of it was a bit of a trial thing for them. If it was going to blow up, then it was going to be huge, and because it didn't blow up so much, it kind of just all just fizzled out. You know what I mean?
Fizzled,
So it wasn't too bad.
I suppose they did it the second time.
They did it 2 or 3 more times after that, and it just died. And then
it just died in its arse. But
yeah.
Did you not get any invites back on to do work on the next ones?
I think I did for the second one. But it was just the same process. Go on and get people to vote, and I was just like, then I'm just annoying people again, and it's like,
nah, I've already overcooked that. I need to do something.
And
else.
I came second. The first ever one, I came second. Well, technically, I was the first male in the world. You know what I mean? So she was a female. So
yeah, and to be fair, mate, to fight against the American when there's 300 million people in America that are naturally going to vote for their own person.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Plus, she's got a massive YouTube following.
Yeah.
And I've seen her content.
And tits.
Well, yeah. You know, tits do help. To be fair, bro, I'd have probably forgot that I knew you and voted for her.
You probably did.
I probably did vote for her. Fucking hell. I was probably the vote. I was probably the reason.
Yeah.
There's one vote in it. It was my vote.
Yeah, there was one vote.
Yeah.
And it came from England.
Can you imagine it? Imagine if they pinpointed my IP address. I killed it, right?
Oh, God.
Fucking hell.
Bro, you owe me $975,000.
Can I pay you in Bitcoin?
You can. Yeah, these days.
Fucking right. But so you how long were you out of music for then before you got back on The Voice?
So I flew back to New Zealand, and then I decided I want to move back here. And I was on a bit of the hype train, you know. I was feeling good, won all this money, and I blew it. Blew it straight away because it ended up being about 40 grand.
40 grand Australian, yeah.
So it was like that was gone within like 3. I don't even know. It was gone real quick. Like I won't even say where it went, but I'm sure you can all use your imagination. It was a good time.
It all went on Hollywood Showgirls,
something like that, and. Yeah, it was like I came back and then I was still just like, what do I want to do? And it was like, isn't it obvious, you know? So I still was grinding away and doing a bit of music, and then I just had a job to keep me afloat. I don't know what it was at the time, and I just did that for like probably a year or so, and then I got hit up to do The Voice, kind of within that next.
They asked you to do it.
Yeah, yep. So they sent me a message on, I think it was actually on Facebook. They scout talent every year, so people can apply. But then they also go out and try and scout talent as well.
Yeah. So they have them real banging moments on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually got approached by one of the executive producers, and then just went in and met them and sang a few songs and that kind of thing. And then they put you through to the next stage, and they actually kind of pick your song for you. So my blind audition was Dancing on My Own by Callum Scott.
Yeah, I watched it this morning.
Yeah.
I was singing along.
Might have to get a little duet going soon.
Yeah, mate, I tell you, I need to warm up.
Same.
We can't do it though, we have to do it.
Yeah.
It'll be the first time anyone's ever sang on. Oh, no, it won't, because I got John Wayne Pass singing a Thai song on the podcast.
So beat me to it.
Yeah, but it'd be the first duet though.
And in English?
And in English, because the first English song ever done on the podcast.
Sweet.
So we'll do it. We'll do it in a bit. But
it's be an honour.
Yeah. So they picked your song, so you don't even get to pick it.
So I was actually originally going to sing "Say Something," but not by Justin Timberlake. Do you know that? Everybody say something, say something.
Yeah.
I don't want to get that up in the middle of it. And I was like, it was way too like upbeat for me.
Yeah.
Like for an audition song, I was kind of like, I don't know.
It needs to be slowed down.
Yeah. And they asked me, what about Dancing on My Own? They sent through a demo, and so I played that and sang to it, and I was like, this would actually be pretty cool. I've never really done this song properly. So I had about a week, and I started doing it. I was like, let's lock this in. So they gave me an option, but it wasn't really like, hey, what song do you want to sing? What's your go-to song? Because it would have been like a Sam Smith song for me, or John Legend, Ordinary People.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that can show off a lot of my range, more of my ability, what I can and can't do, or can do, I should say, not can't. but I didn't get that option. So I was like, oh, fuck it. I guess this is what it is.
I didn't realise when you did these shows that you didn't get an option on the song.
Maybe some people do, but from everyone that I've spoken to, it's kind of like they might give you a few songs to choose from, and then you can pick out of those, but it might not be anything you want to do.
Fuck yeah.
So, well, anyway, I guess I had to go with that at the time, and I was like...
Mate, it did well. I was looking this morning, it got like 1.2 million views on YouTube so far.
Oh, yeah?
On the clip that I saw, and there's loads of clips of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, there was actually one clip on this random, like, American YouTube, but I can't find it anywhere now. It might have been taken down, and it had like 4 million views. This was in the year of it. It's like 2019. So I don't know what happened to that, unless it was fake or something. But
mate, there's clips on Facebook with like 4 or 5 million views.
Yeah,
on Facebook Watch and stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty mad, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Because this is what, 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2019. It was literally 2 years ago. Yeah. So it was. Yeah, like it was such a good experience. Like I obviously did that song for my audition, and so like the week of the audition, say it was on like a Saturday for me. It was down in Sydney. I flew down, and then you just do lots of rehearsals on stage. Obviously, no one's around, all the producers, and you get it down pat. So it's perfect and ready to go. And then I come see your performance day, and it's the longest wait. You're backstage with you're all mic'd up, ready to go, and it's just like one person will go through. I bet you're like feeling like some nervous kind of anxiety energy in your stomach. You know what I mean? I can't even describe it. It's unbelievable. It was like, all right, you're up next. And so I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Preparing myself. And it's like 3 hours later I'm up because they're talking, they have intermissions, like the person that was before me just performed, and then the coaches are talking to them, and then it's a long process, man. Like it takes ages. So I was expecting like I'm up in 10 minutes. They don't give you a time frame. It was literally like 2-3 hours later. I'm like, and then when they told me, they're like, all right, you're gonna go on stage in like 5-10 minutes. I actually had a Valium because I was so nervous, bro. Like to the point where I was almost gonna pull out. So I had a Valium.
Which is good on a Tinder date, but not so good on the voice.
Yeah, well, look, I'll tell you this much. Oh, man, I don't know what Tinder dates you've been on.
I'm joking, bro. I'm joking. You got to have a laugh. Yeah,
that's awesome. You sure it was Valium?
Go on. Compose yourself.
All right. So I had my Valium, and it, I started to feel, just like for anyone that's had one, just calms you down. You just feel nice and relaxed. Doesn't really do anything other than that. And then I walked out on stage, man, and it's like the adrenaline dump hit me, and it's like I didn't have a Valium. That was gone, completely out of my system. I was just like, holy fuck! Like just saw it's like a stadium, like a mini stadium, just with people there. It would have been thousands. You know what I mean? Like that's hard to say. And
when the light's shining on you, I stood at when I went in the boxing ring, when I walked out with Gary Cochran against Jeff Horn in Brisbane, there was 11 or 14,000 people in this auditorium and that. But you can't actually see how many people there are when you're in the ring or when you're on the stage there, because the lights shining on you take away the audience. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you think that's a good thing?
Well, yeah,
for sure.
It's fucking brilliant.
100%.
Because when you realise there's 14,000 people looking at you, it's like fucking hell. It's a lot.
But when you're walking to the ring or
you see all the people
stage, I'm like, And do you know what the funniest thing was, bro? So I saw everyone. I'm like, I'm doing the old walking, pretending I'm not looking. I'm like, fuck. And then I get on stage, and you're right. Then the spotlight hits you, and then you can't see it, and it actually makes you feel so much better. It's like, oh, thank God. But just before that hit me, I could hear someone go, yeah, Chriddy. I was like,
thanks, Mum.
Turned around. It was my sister and my brother. I don't know if it was them that yelled out, but I looked and just happened to see them. I was like, fuck, now I know where they're sitting. And it made me feel more nervous and more pressure because I actually feel more nervous, more pressure,
when you know
more anxiety.
Who's watching you.
Bro, 100%. If I could sing in front of 20,000 people who I don't know, and it's going to be a little nerve-wracking, but I'll feel fine. But if I know there's one person that I know sitting in that crowd watching me, I'm like, it's so weird, eh? It's all in your head.
That's some crazy shit, bro.
It is
crazy shit.
But once the light hit me, I was like, I just felt like that instant kind of, that's a bit better. Then the music comes on, you're like, oh shit, this is it. Like, I got to do this now. And then I honestly can't remember my performance. Like,
Yeah.
I remember finishing and kind of putting my mic stand to the side and then just going like center stage and then talking to the coaches. I don't remember the performance until I watched it back.
I think when you go into a situation like that, you kind of go into autopilot.
Yeah.
And we'll touch more on this when we talk about breathwork and all that, and how that opens up pathways later on in the podcast, because when you go into that like meditated state, you kind of see the true version of yourself, rather than people can just get into this autopilot mode where they just roll in and they don't even know what's happening in their life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They just get up in the same place, do the same thing, and they're just in autopilot. It's the same thing because you'd sung that song so many times throughout the week. You just went into autopilot.
You
didn't even get a chance to feel it.
Nah, not at all. And because of the nerves,
maybe because of the Valium too.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably that. That's why I don't remember anything. But it was good. Like, I watched the performance back, and obviously I'm going to be my own worst critic. I didn't like parts of it, and I could have done this, could have done that. But overall, I was happy with it, because looking back at it, I knew how nervous and shit I was feeling. And you can't really see that. It doesn't show. Unless you really, really know me, you're kind of like, yeah, you look a little nervous, but not like crazy to the public eye. Whereas in my head, I'm like, after the performance, I was like, fuck, I would have looked so nervous then, like ridiculous. Yeah. So I was happy to see that result, I guess.
I suppose, on what planet wouldn't you be nervous doing that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like anybody in that situation is going to be nervous, bro.
Yeah, of course.
I think most of the audience can respect that and kind of understand what you're going through at that time.
And the coaches prepare for that. They know, like, they might find one artist out of every 100 that audition who's confident and just like doesn't care about that stuff. But 99% of the people that are on there are very nervous, which can affect their performance, their vocal ability, all that kind of stuff. So they take that stuff into consideration, I'm sure, as well. But you don't think about those things when you're on stage. You're just going, fuck, get me off.
Because when you went further through the show, you were in a battle with that guy that had previously been on it and got to the final, right? The guy that had all the
Jack Vichin. He actually won.
He won that series that you were on, wasn't he?
No, he didn't win that series. He won Australia's Got Talent back in when he was a kid. He was really young. He actually came first and won it.
Yeah. He went for a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah. And that's just like what saying earlier. It's a massive part of the game. Like in any kind of.
So when it ended for you, did it end on that battle? Was that the battle it ended?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. So like the blind audition, got through. I picked Guy. I had all 4 chairs turned, which is awesome. That's the best case scenario you want, because then you've got options to pick who you want. Yeah. I always had in my head that I wanted to go with Guy, so I was always going to pick him. And he turned around first for me. So it was like, it just kind of, it all lined up.
Yeah, it all lined up for you, yeah.
So I went through, and then you go through the knockout rounds, which is they paired you up against 2 other people from your team. So I versed 2 of my mates who I'm friends with now, Mitch and Jesse. So it was us 3 against each other, singing 3 different songs from the one artist. So we got given Ariana Grande, but a different song each. And it was just 60 seconds. So you're up there, Jesse would sing, I would sing, and we just rotate on the stage. And then Guy would pick who he thought did the best performance based off what he had taught us throughout that week. Yeah. And he actually picked Mitch, the young kid. And so that kind of essentially means, I'll see you later, Chriddy and Jesse, because he's picked Mitch. But there was all these other things that come into play, like in the show, they can save an artist, another coach can pick one of the artists that didn't get picked, all that kind of shit. So Guy actually used his save button, and so did Delta, and they both saved me. So then I had an option to stay with Guy or go to Delta. Right. And I probably should have gone to Delta, but hindsight's a beautiful thing. Stayed with Guy and caused a bit of controversy on the show, because there was like a famous quote that I said. He said something to me. He was trying to pitch why I should stay with him, and then I said, well, "Why didn't you pick me first?" Because he's like, "Yeah, I really want you on my team. You're my favorite kind of thing." And I was like, "Well, why didn't you pick me first?" And then the whole crowd was like, "Ooh," and just started going nuts. And then that quote went on air all over the media and stuff, and everyone was like, "Yeah, like good on you for saying that." And I stuck with him because it was just my gut feeling. So.
Mate, it's obviously right. What's right for you won't pass you by. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's obviously a reason that happened, and obviously it's took you to this point, and it's going to take you beyond this point as well. And you look back on that, and you think to yourself, well, actually, that was the right decision.
100%. Yeah.
There's no wrong decisions if you learn from everything you go through in life. I think
I strongly believe that too.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just at the time, you think it's just what came to my head. It was just a bit of fun for me too. I was, just being a little bit of a smart ass, but also like, well, hang on, you're pitching all this nice shit to me. Why didn't you pick me first then? Why didn't you pick me and then save Mitch? It's almost like an ego thing too. I was obviously a bit cut, a bit hurt over it. But at the end of the day, the show goes on, and I stayed with him, and one of the other guys went somewhere else and to another team, and so then the next round is the battles, which is when you get paired up with one person, because your team starts to get less and less the further you go, because people go home. So it was against Jack, and to be completely honest with you, man, when I got paired up with him, I kind of just took the loss, as bad as that might sound, and I would never recommend that to people in terms of like how you should approach things mentally. But with these shows, it's very different. Like, there was a lot of hype around Jack. Everyone kind of knew he was going to go to the finals, and they're not all. It's not all legit. There is a few things that are slightly staged and stuff. And
like what?
I just seen some things on there that I was like, this isn't right. Like, for example, there was a guy that he sang a song, and Boy George was his coach. Yeah. Boy George was talking. You'd know Boy George.
Yeah.
Boy George was talking to him and saying, "Oh, I really like this performance," with his headset on, and then just goes, this is mid-conversation, right? And obviously this isn't on live TV because it's all pre-recorded, so they can edit this stuff. And so he's going, "Oh, blah, 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 I loved your performance." And then he grabs his mic and he's like, "Yeah, but I'm going to go with," and just picks this up. And we were like, what? You were just talking to this guy basically saying you're about to pick him, and then you just stopped. Listen, it was the most obvious thing. Like, he couldn't have done it any worse, and then just picked another contestant. And we were like, they don't show that shit on TV. And when I saw that, I was like, they've obviously got the producers in their ears just saying things like, no, you're talking to the wrong person. You fucked up here. Or I don't know. Something like that. And so that was when I was like, oh, this is a little bit... I already had my reservations about it, and a lot of people do. But then just like the fact that Jack Vitchin had come back on the show... I sound like I'm being really salty. Like, I don't care. It's just the reality of it.
It's kind of reality from it. He was probably scouted for the show. Like you were scouted.
100%. Yeah.
There's no way he probably chose to go through the organic way.
No way. He was scouted as well, and there was a lot of like mixed chats and shit going through that show that people were hearing. They're like, "Oh, no way, they couldn't do that," and I just think like Jack was always destined to go quite far because of his name, that there was probably a contract put in place, and you'll never know. These are just like assumptions, and it is what it is, man. Like, at the time I was kind of like, yeah, it's pretty shit. I couldn't give two shits right now. I'm just telling people that this is the reality of those TV shows.
It's good to see under the hood of what goes on. Yeah. And then hear about how that affects you how does that affect you mentally after that, all that?
At the time it sucked, man. Like, it got me down a bit, but like, to be honest, I kind of almost prepared for it, so I think I was, somewhat ready for that kind of, for that to happen. So I don't think it affected me as much as it could have, but it definitely got me down. And that's the things, like, as I was saying, it's the reality of those shows. That's what does happen. But
you're just like a pawn in a chess game.
You are, yeah. But you need to accept that, right? I think once you accept that, and you can just go, that's all right, like, whatever. Because a lot of people live for those shows. They really want to do well, and it can be heartbreaking. But some people just use it as like business opportunities, platform, anything. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like they do have, their best interest is to help you and to become a better artist and discover and do lots of things. But and you make awesome contacts, and they are really they're amazing people. They're really there for you. They look out for you and stuff. And I couldn't say a bad word about it. It's just. Shows are shows. They do a lot of things for ratings. They got to do what they got to do. What's best for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're going to always look after what's best for them, and they're always going to put out the kind of content that's going to get the right engagement for their audience.
Exactly. Because
they're going for ratings. If they don't get the ratings, they're not going to be able to put it on TV next year.
Exactly right. 100%. And that's that year that I did it. They actually were saying that to us. So, like, if this year doesn't go as good as the last year's, we're probably going to scratch it. Like, X Factor's been scratched for years now. Australian Idol, that's long gone.
Yeah. Because people are getting like. There's so many of those shows now. Yeah. There's too many of them.
There is.
Yeah. And I think then they've gone into like Australia's Got Talent and all that kind of stuff. Those kind of talent shows which allow not just singing but everything. Yeah. They've gone more towards that, haven't they?
I don't even know if that's
not
anymore.
Is that not anymore?
I think it was. It might be, man. I don't know. I honestly don't know anymore. I thought it stopped last year for some reason. Or was it on?
Fucking knows, mate. I don't watch TV.
Yeah,
so, mate, I don't. There's
either,
too much
man.
negative energy on that stuff, so I don't even go near it. But after the show, then so when you came off it and you got away from it, and all the hype had died down, because you were talking about how quick the hype died down.
Yeah. So this experience for me was actually, it was an amazing experience. I'm really glad that I experienced what I did, especially for like a taste for what could happen. You know, if you blow up even on a bigger scale one day, which is what I want to do, like for the right reasons. I want to become a huge artist for my own music and stuff. I don't care about the fame and shit. I did back then. I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to be famous and that. After the show, there's a span of like 1 to 6 months max. For me, it was probably 3-4 months tops, where I was walking down Burleigh with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and some friends would go to the pub, and I'd have like people literally lining up to get a photo with me, come and talk to me, and I was like, this is unbelievable. I was like, what the fuck? It was an awesome feeling, and I was taught, and I grew up to be quite like modest, and I'm a humble person. I'd never, but eventually I think it did kind of get to my head a little bit, where I was like, this is a cool feeling. Never to the point where I was a dick or treat somebody differently, just it for my own self. And so this was where I went on like a bit of a journey of self-discovery and personal development and stuff like that. But it got to me to a point where I was like, this is awesome. So when it did die, I was like, fuck, what's going on? And it left me like depressed. It left me feeling like unworthy, you know what I mean? Like in that place of, I needed that validation from an external source to feel good about myself, or to know these things that I already know. And once that was removed from my life, I was like, how do I make myself feel good?
So what did you turn to in that?
At that time, I actually went and got help. I was seeing a couple of psychologists on and off, trying to find what was best for me. I didn't really know what to do. I just knew I wasn't feeling good, and I needed to do something about it. So I tried like breathwork, meditation. This is actually when I discovered Wim Hof. And Wim Hof's method. So I started to do that, but I didn't do it properly. I did it like on and off, and just kind of did what I thought I knew, and it helped a lot. It really did. But I saw different psychologists. I just was like, I needed to find what worked for me, and eventually I learned that it was, for me, it was like, so it was a routine. It was waking up and doing my breath work, going for a walk or the gym or run or something like that, just to really
release them endorphins.
Exactly right, man. And I know it might sound like a bit of a cop out, because people always say that, but it's like, you tell me a day you feel shit, like really shit. You don't want to leave your house and stuff. You just feel like, fuck this. But you go out and you do it. You go for that run. Like you were saying, just 1%, you feel 1% better.
Yeah,
that's better than laying on the couch feeling depressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and people like give up on themselves too much.
Yeah,
like, I know it sounds stupid, but it's so true. When this is going to hit your ears at the right time, if you hear this now, it's like, every time you make a promise to yourself and you don't take action on that promise. Like, I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow at 4 p.m. But you cancel on yourself. You literally are cancelling on yourself every time. You are literally letting yourself down. Yeah. Like, because,
and what's that doing to you?
Well, I tell you what it's doing to you. It's you can't trust yourself, because you're breaking contracts with yourself.
Yeah.
So every time you break a promise that you made to yourself, you no longer trust yourself. And if you no longer trust yourself, how can other people trust in you?
Fuck.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
There's a deep psychology to it.
There's some real talk.
There's a deep psychology to it. That's why I will often go on Instagram and I'll say big shit like, I want to do this for the podcast, I want to do this, and I'll talk into the things, knowing that people will be like, oh, he can't do that, he won't do that, and then I'll go and back it up in a big way, like 2 or 3 months later, and deliver what I said. Yeah, because I'm conscious every time I say something to know that I got to turn up at a certain point in time, in a certain time frame, and back what I've just said. Yeah, yeah. And you've got to remember that as a human being, every time you make that contract, you got to back it up. And when the days that you don't, like the day you say, I'm going to go for that 3K run, and then you cancel on yourself, and then you do it a couple more times that week, you've just weakened your own resolve. And when you weaken your own resolve, like you imagine if a woman's looking at you as a man, right? and you're breaking contracts with yourself. You're breaking what you say to them, like in terms of like they see that you don't back yourself. So why would they back you?
Yeah,
it's some powerful shit, isn't it? It's the same. It's the same when you. I don't I don't look at what a woman says. I look at what a woman does compared to what she says.
Yeah,
that's some powerful shit.
Yeah,
that is some powerful shit. There's plenty of women that tell me everything that they think I want to hear in life in terms of what they're doing to develop themselves personally. But I don't listen to what you're telling me. I look at what you're fucking doing.
Actions speak louder than
because
words.
Your actions tell me everything about you as a human being, not what you say to me.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
People can't hide that. Turn up. But turn up for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? That's a big lesson right there.
I'm learning some shit right now just listening to that, man. Straight up. Like, that's some real talk. And sometimes it needs to be said in a different way from somebody else for you to understand that as well, you know what I mean? So you're right though, man. Like, going back on that whole mental health journey from when you're on a high to feeling like this, it's finding what works for you. Like, I remember at the time I was like, I know I'm not okay. I don't feel that great. My life wasn't shit, you know. I just wasn't in a good place. And so I was like, what do I need to do to get myself out of here? And I didn't know. And it was like, I jumped on Instagram and I was like, you know, post shit. It was like for attention for that validation to see if, you know, whatever. And I'd be like, oh, today I'm going to do this. And I would post like, oh, down at the beach, I'm doing this. To make myself look like I'm doing good shit when
really
I was struggling, you know, and that's not helping me. And it was that external validation that I really, really craved at this pure form is obviously something I lacked as a child. And so a lot of your trauma comes from your childhood, and it really has. Like, I lost my dad to suicide when I was 4, and that's played a massive part of my life. And it may not have affected my siblings as much as it had me, but for me, man, I struggled so much to not have the question of why was my father not around? Why did he do what he did? And I'm never going to know why. And I had to live with that. It took me 20 years, bro, 20 years of help, of my own journey of doing shit and all the bullshit that I went through and put people through because of me as a person, to realize that I'm never going to know these answers. I need to forgive him. I need to accept what's happened and move on. Otherwise, I'm going to be fucking miserable and angry my whole life, because I was such an angry person.
Yeah.
And I have
because you feel like he's left you.
Yeah.
But there's always 3 sides to every story. There's obviously like your side and how you feel about it. There's your dad's side and how he feels about it, and then there's the truth in the middle, right? Yeah. And the truth is what sets you free. It's like your dad was going through a massively difficult, challenging time in his life, and he was thinking at that particular time, you know, the best option for me is to check out and whatnot, which is obviously not the best option, but just you can only imagine what that man must have been feeling and going through, and the upset in himself. Yeah. And he at no point in time, I solemnly believe at no point in time that he ever wanted to let anyone down.
No,
do you know what I mean? Like he had his own things that he was battling, and you can only but step into their shoes and kind of try and understand it from how they must be feeling. Yeah. In order to process it yourself.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And as I said, it took me 20 years or so to realize that and to actually understand that and be able to accept it. Forgiveness, man. Forgiveness is the bravest thing a human can do.
100%,
you know what I mean? Man. And when you start forgiving yourself as well, is when you really start to dive into that growth and personal development. Like, I held on to a lot of anger and all these like bottled up emotions, where I actually found myself a very open person. I would talk to almost anybody that I had a good relationship with, or maybe not even. And I was open. I would tell people things. That's just me. But I was actually suppressing a lot of shit that I was unaware of. You know, it was very like subconsciously or whatever. And it got to a point where I was like, I'm still feeling fucking miserable. I'm still not happy. I'm angry. And like, again, my life didn't suck, but it was like a perception of that. I thought it did. And I knew I needed to do something. And I was like, it all came back to my dad. It all came back to and I was like, I think when I learned from that.
It always comes back to the mother and father, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, you know, I had a lot of hang-ups predicated on the fact that I didn't feel like my mum loved me at the time. Right, so I had to work through a lot of shit with that. Yeah. And it affected every relationship I had with a woman up until I started to really box it off, which has been like over the last 12 24 months of constant work, breath work, meditations, seeing people, you know what I mean? Like trying to really dig deep and understand as a man. Because here's the thing, right? In order to get the woman that you want, that you'd like to attract in life, you have to think, okay, what type of man has to turn up in order to be able to have that kind of woman?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In his life.
Yeah.
So you have to. So it's all about what you do and your work. You know what I mean? It's the same with a woman who wants that. If you want that kind of man in your life, it's like, what type of woman does that man deserve?
Yeah.
Like, you got to turn up as that.
Yeah.
It's not either sex's responsibility to turn up it's like you got to turn up for yourself and turn up in the best way, and then when you turn up in the best light and in your best self, you will attract that person that you deserve. Predicate on that.
Yeah.
And we're all like, I just feel like a lot of people, like locally and around the world, are all out there searching for this like perfect partner that fulfills them. It's like, no, you got it wrong. You got to fulfill yourself. You got to be that person for yourself. And then when you've got that, when you've filled your own cup up and been the light to yourself, then you can go and shine that light on someone else. You can't do that until you've done the work.
Well, it's hard to do that if you're, like you just said, if your cup's not full, because then you're trying to give people or deliver things with an empty cup, and it's just not possible. And I've learned that the hard way. And you know what, a massive thing that I really have learned over the last kind of, I guess, maybe 5 years is, I would rather be loved for somebody that I'm not. Sorry, I'm going to say this wrong. I'd rather be
loved for your true self,
for my true self, than, well, a lot of people, right? So I've met like hundreds of people over the last, let's say, 2 to 3 years that are really diving deep into this personal development journey. Yeah, growing, getting into the whole breath work, like following, just trying to do the right thing. And I see a lot of people trying, and it's amazing. And then I see a lot of people that are like posting stuff and not actually taking action. It's like, it's almost become a trend. And my partner actually said this to me the other day. We spoke about it. It's like, it seems to be like a bit of a trend with these things. Like, and it's kind of sad because mental health's a huge, like, vital topic, and it's so crucial, where people are like, oh, they just post stuff. It's
an engagement post rather than a true reflection of how they're trying to turn up.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
that's why the power of like podcasting and video is so powerful, because you can see the true authenticity in the content that you're watching. Yeah. Rather that's why we don't edit these podcasts. Yeah. That's why they go out like it's raw content start to finish, because that's the truth. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And anyone that's asked for an edit has been cut. Like, we've not put the podcast out. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I won't have it. Because then we're not operating in the true light, which is what this is all about. And if it's all about being congruent with yourself, isn't it? Yeah. So when you've walked into that true light, it's like you'll accept nothing in your whole life because it's not in the true light. It's like, that's why the posts aren't resonating with you. Exactly. And so many people, they are putting out that. All I would say on that is the fact that, like, if that honestly makes you feel better for that minute in time, that's cool. Yeah. But you got to be willing to go away from this, even listen to this podcast, ladies and gents, and just go away and ask yourself, who do you want to be? How do you want to turn up? You know what I mean? Am I being my true self? Am I doing the things I want to be doing? Am I acting the way that I want to act?
That whole talk on the true self thing is what I was trying to get at before, and I had a brain fart. Was I'd rather be hated for somebody that I am, than be loved for somebody that I'm not. Because I spend a lot of time, and like, I'm not perfect. I still have moments where I'm not 100% sure on.
Fucking, we all do, bro. It's human being, bro. You're a human being.
Exactly right. And there's such a stigma around it, and it's like, there was so many moments where I've like, just I don't class myself as a fake person. I don't think I've ever been fake, but I've just been unsure. I've confused. I've been trying to be someone that I thought that I wanted to be, or this or that, and people just absolutely love it. But that's not me. And then there's people that go, when I'm my true authentic self, and I do have glimpses and moments where I find that, and people just like, talk shit. It's like, oh, well, that's me.
Mate, my whole journey as a professional boxing trainer was all about external. When I think back to it, it was not. It was all about like, this is how the world wants me to turn up. Because this is the truth. This is like this podcast and everything I'm doing around this and what I'm trying to put out into the world. That's the truth. But the professional boxing trainer was always like, oh yeah, that's like our professional boxing trainer. Yeah. Fucking, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it doesn't mean fucking shit, man.
Yeah.
I've worked at world title level, and when I got to the world title level in boxing, it felt like my ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. It's just empty, bro. And the reason is because I was leaning into what the world expected of me rather than what I should have been doing.
Yeah.
And I should have been communicating with the world at a high level and trying to help people through voice and video and trying to get people to break pattern slip perspectives in their life. That's what I should have been doing. That should have been my message, but it wasn't. It was like post this picture with these pro boxers with your tops off, but that gives no value to the world. There's no value in that.
No.
How many lives you changed by that post? Absolutely none.
Yeah.
But we might have one person listen to this podcast that reevaluates their whole life, predicated on something you've said or I've said that might go, fucking hell, I'm hanging around with the wrong people. Like, I don't even like these people.
Yeah.
I'm doing this, but I don't even like doing that. I'm going out with this chick, but I don't even vibe her. She's just hot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like all these conversations that need to be had. There's so much growth in the vulnerability of being able to talk like me and you are talking right now.
Yeah.
There's so much growth in that, not just for us, by talking it out as men, but by people listening to it, male and female. Because, mate, let me tell you, right, and I've not told anyone this yet, not on socials, not on nothing. I went to a breathwork with the Call to Be Conscious boys this weekend, right? And I'll tell the audience this, yeah?
Great guys.
Great guys, man. Rue and Ryan doing a massive job, building a massive movement, and you can see, and I've had them on the podcast, so you'll have listened to the podcast. I was there, right? And one of the exercises was about
This weekend just gone.
Yeah, just literally, I was starting to tell you, but I might as well tell it on the podcast. Like, might as well give some value, right? Because I fucking cried. This made me cry. It's even tearing me up now thinking about it, right? There's a part in this. Fucking hell, it's getting me. There's a part in. There's some growth in this. I'm going to say it. There's a part in this weekend that I did. It was 4 or 5 hours of like meditation, breathwork, yeah. And it's like part of it was like you had to line up as men and take your shirt off and be a vulnerable male. Now, obviously, I'm in all right shape, but some of the lads aren't in the shape that they want to be in. So obviously, some people are body conscious, some people aren't. But we're all lined up, and the women are looking at us, and the women out there in the room have to close their eyes, and it's all in a controlled environment, and obviously there's people watching, and it's all about. And you've done a lot of internal work by this point, but it's all about go and show these women. Like go and hug them with unconditional love. Right, hug these women with unconditional love, and you do it. You go as a man and you hug into these women with unconditional love as part of this breathwork practice and all this kind of stuff. And it sounds woo woo, but until you do it, let me tell you, to see women break down and cry like that because they've never felt that much unconditional love in their life. That fucking broke my heart, bro. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then on the other side of the coin, you as a vulnerable male, because you've got your shirt off in the world. Obviously, it's not the same for women. Obviously, they have to come and they have to embrace you, and they have to show you unconditional love, bro. And there's obviously men out there that hadn't received like that kind of attention and that kind of feeling before. Yeah. And they're out there bawling their eyes out, mate. And the reason. And it's just like, and then at the end of the whole thing, the thing that got me, the thing that made me fucking cry, bro, was when the women were there with their eyes shut, and they said, "Now tell the men in the room that have turned up how you feel, predicated on feeling unconditional love." And some of the things that they were saying that they felt as women, because it was like some of the first times that they felt unconditional love. And I'm talking about there's women in there with like millions of followers on Instagram, blue ticks, and there's normal ladies and there's older ladies, and there's all these kind of, you know, beautiful souls in this room, mate. They're not just, it's a beautiful group of people, but just hearing how they felt as women, fuck me, bro, that like got me, man. It got me big time, because that's some real shit, man. That's some real personal development.
Yeah.
Because most men and most women won't put themselves in a position to get that kind of growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have to be willing to have these vulnerable conversations.
100%. And it's those things like you've just done on the weekend. That's those small steps that go the long way. Like you said, the beginning of this, it's like woo woo, but it's not. Like when you actually experience this and do it yourself and just get some sort of understanding on what this kind of stuff does for you on every level, man. It's just like, it's literally like, it's almost indescribable. And this stuff has been around since the ancient days. You know what I mean? Breathwork has been around. This isn't just something that Wim Hof discovered. Like he's got his method to it. Yes,
he's got his method. Yeah.
But this stuff has been around for since the beginning of time, and like what it does to your body, like breathwork in particular. It's the only way I can describe it is euphoric. It is a euphoric feeling.
It's a euphoric feeling that allows you to connect with the world on a whole different level.
Yeah,
and
just through breathing,
just through breathing.
You're not doing anything. You're just breathing.
You're breathing, yeah, and you're breathing with intent, and then you go into a deep, translucent type meditation, and it's amazing what turns up in your mind and how you turn up. But the reason why most of you should go and experience this is the fact that you need to understand what real human connection is and what real vulnerability is, because when you understand what real vulnerability is and real human connection is to you will always want that. You'll want that from every relationship that you have.
Yep.
Because
100%.
Because it's like, even this conversation, the reason we can have this conversation in the depth that we're having it as two men, which most men can't. Most men is like, oh yeah, you fucked that bird the weekend. Do you know what I mean? There's no value in any of that, bro. There's no value in that.
Just feed your ego.
It's just feed the ego, feed the beast, and roll around in circles. There's no fucking value in that. No fucking value at all.
It's sad.
But these kind of deep conversations which go down. I wasn't expecting to go into this today. Were you?
No.
But it's these kind of deep conversations that kind of open people's minds up to what real human connection actually is.
Yeah. That's the real world for how it should be, and isn't because of a lot of reasons, but in particular social media. You know, and that was kind of like what we were touching on before, just the whole external validation thing. A lot of people do it. I'm guilty for it.
We've all been guilty at one point in time of posting posts on Instagram for metrics that do not involve our happiness or for ourselves. We're posting it for what other people think, and we've all done those posts.
Yeah.
But you don't have to keep doing them.
No.
You can make a choice not to do that.
And I think deep down, people know that it doesn't actually make them feel good internally. It's that whole external thing. It's like, you know, you post a photo with your shirt off or a chick in a bikini or undies, and then you get all these DMs, and it's like, oh, I think I'm sexy. But you already know you're sexy. If you're in the mirror and you look at yourself, male or female, you know deep down within yourself that you're a beautiful person. It doesn't matter what shape you are. I
do feel sorry for a lot of the girls on Instagram at the moment, because it's like, because you know, you're getting 719 likes on a picture of you with your ass and a G-banger. You just keep posting that content because that's what's feeding your fire. That's what you know. You see the post on the feed, and then they share it on the story, and they say tap here to see the new post, and that's what gets them. Yeah. But that it doesn't really fill your cup up. Like, like you say, like, just know you can know it. I understand if you're a professional porn star, or you're a professional OnlyFans girl, and that's what you do, and that's your career, and that's what you want to do, cool. But if you're just someone out there who's not making money off the content, and there's and you're just doing it to fill your own likes cup up, so to speak, that's a very toxic environment to be in. Super toxic. Because all the men that you'll attract to your life on the back of posting that kind of content wouldn't be the type of man that you'd probably ideally want in your life anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's kind of so that's the whole point in what me and Chriddy are saying essentially is the fact that if you put the unauthentic version of yourself out there to the world, whether you're a male or a female, you attract everything that you don't want anyway. So why wouldn't you put the most genuine content out there to you, right, in your true authentic voice, so that you could attract the like-minded people to you and repel the people that don't resonate with you.
Yeah.
Like if me and Chriddy like Breathwork, but matey down the road doesn't like Breathwork, and we post it and we lose him, that he wasn't for us anyway.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? If we lose a follower, who gives a fuck?
Yeah. And you know what? Can I say something on that? When you do post stuff, and because I've experienced this a little bit lately, and throughout my life, you know, over the last kind of 5-10 years, but more in particular over the last maybe 6 months, where I would post some stuff where I was posting, let's say, for example, at the back end of last year, I was working for a mate, content creator, not a mate anymore, but it was a very toxic environment, and I wasn't aware of it, but it was just partying, you know, non-stop, and I was posting that all the time. Then when I realized I wasn't happy, like I was truly not happy, I found myself kind of in a hole again, and I just needed to get out. I knew what I needed to do. Yeah. So because of my experiences in my past, so I knew I had the tools. I knew what I could do to help myself, and I did. Yeah. And I fell out of love with music. Like I took like, you know, a year off music, and then I found it again, and I loved that. And for me to pull myself out of that place and realize that was the first step. You know, I accepted it. I admitted it. I think that's the first thing you need to do is admit and accept your own bullshit. And I got myself out of that place and started to feel better slowly. And it doesn't just happen overnight. This shit takes time, you know. It's like going to the gym. You're not going to get ripped unless you're eating clean and going to the gym consistently. You don't just do it once. Yeah. It's the same thing. You got to train it. And I got to the point where I was like, oh, cool, I'm starting to feel better. And so I started posting that kind of stuff, that life, because that was authentically myself. It was genuine. Yeah. And then I get backlash. It's like, you know, you're fake, or it's like people going, oh, you don't, just because you're doing breath work or you're waking up to watch the sunrise, you don't need to post it every day. And so many things went through my head. You know, the first thing was my ego going, fuck you, man. Don't tell me what I can and can't do. Like, I'll fuck you up. Like, you know what I mean? And that's just like, that's... But
it's like, I would just... Anyone that gives me any negativity on social media, right? The first thing I do is I'm like, fuck, I'm sorry. I say to myself, I feel like I'm sorry you're in a place that you have to feel like that internally. Because that is truly a reflection on how you feel within yourself, not at me. Because this is nothing to do with me. Yeah, this has nothing to do with me. I've posted this post. You've come on there to show negativity on it. Like at the end of the day, that's all internal with you. So something within that's triggered you. Yeah, you need to go work on that trigger, and that's it. But in the meantime, like thanks for your negativity, but. Like, I'll just remove you. Yeah. Don't follow me, like, because you don't. It's not good for you, and it's not good. It's not. I don't need that in my life. I just remove them, bro. And
that's where I was coming from. It was like you have options, right? And I think as a human being, depending where you're at, your initial option or thought is or response is like, "Fuck you, man!" Like, just let me be. And then I was like, "No, I don't. That's my ego. That's not real. That doesn't exist. I don't need that shit." So then it's like, well. This is me. This is, you know what I mean? Like, how about I do me, you do you. You focus on you. And one thing I learned was people are going to give you this feedback, positive or negative. Everyone's going to have their 2 cents. You either do or you don't. And if it's somebody that you have close to you and they're giving you this feedback, then like you were saying before, maybe they don't need to be a part of your life if that's how they're going to be. And it is a reflection of them 100%. It's not your business what people think of you, but it's very easy to be offended and to take it personal when people approach you that way, because that's a natural reaction and our instincts for the human brain to go to a negative thing. Yeah. But the best thing is to take that feedback, good or bad, and just go, thank you. I'll take that feedback always. And wish them, wish them the best.
Just wish them well, and then send them off on their way, because that person is just another hurt soul. Right, and like that famous quote is like, hurt people, healed people, heal people.
Heal people, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's a very famous quote, and it's like, how do you want to be? Do you want to be a healer or a hurter?
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And you know what, Frankie? The other thing is, if I post something, right, or if you post something, let's say I post something and you don't agree with it. Yeah. That doesn't matter. You don't have to agree with everything.
Don't have to agree with everything. And you might be pro something. I might be anti something, but we don't have to fall out over it.
Not over different beliefs, not at all. And the thing is, like, if I post something, right, and it does make me feel good, and this is kind of like, may sound like a little contradiction or whatever when I'm talking about posting, not posting things for external validation, but what if it's not? What if I'm genuinely like, I posted this quote or what I'm doing.
And it does make you feel good.
It makes me feel good. I couldn't give a fuck who replies. I don't want attention. I don't want sympathy. I'm just doing it because it's me. It makes me feel good, and hopefully I can help other people feel good. And if that makes me feel good, why should somebody in my life have to comment and say like, oh, it's just a trend, or this is just fake, or whatever, you know, and send I get message requests, people going like, I got one the other day actually, and it was someone like, oh, I guess it was a positive message saying, oh, I used to watch your stuff back in the day, and you look like you were just partying heaps and you didn't really know what you were wanting to do. You were trying to please other people, not yourself. And now that I've seen this new stuff that you're posting, it's really like resonated with me, and I love that, and thank you. So it was kind of like, you know, telling me what they used to see, and they kind of called me out of my own bullshit, to be honest. And I was like, what you just said was actually completely true.
Yeah,
and I don't reply.
And that's the thing, right? Like the world knows the truth anyway.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you just be yourself?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Because the world sees through your own shit, really, I suppose. Is the only thing, like, you know. And
I think at the end of the day, if you're doing what you're doing and it makes you happy, it genuinely fills your cup up, and it makes you happy, and you're okay. And then you get all these naysayers. Honestly, like, I know it's so cliche, but fuck them, man. If people are saying to you like, oh, this and that, like you just said before, it's a reflection of that person,
100%.
Where they are in their life. And if they don't understand you, like if it's somebody you know well and they don't understand you or know you well enough to know that, then maybe they don't know you at all, and they don't need to be in your life. Because if you're happy, man. You focus on you. Don't worry about these comments and people saying, oh, like as soon as you start not giving a fuck about other people's perception of you, your life gets so much better. Like, it really does.
100%, man. Like, 100% agree with you. And yeah, mate, like, you know, it takes sometimes until you get to 30 to find it out. But the sooner you can find out, being comfortable within yourself and what you like and what you don't like and what you will and won't accept in your life, as soon as you get to that point where you can really find that out about yourself and what that is to you, and it's something else, something different to everyone. But as soon as you find it, you're like, fuck me, now I'm onto something.
Yeah. Because
now your mind opens up, now the blinkers come off, now you're no longer a racehorse looking down a racetrack, you're someone who's actually opened up your peripherals, and you can see more things, you can experience more things, and you can take on other people's opinions and not be offended by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot of nuance to be learned in me listening to Chriddy's opinion on something that I perhaps don't agree with, but just understanding his point of view for a moment to be able to see both sides of a story, or to see a fuller picture than what I'm seeing. When I don't understand something now, rather than battling against it, I want to know from that other human being. I want to understand why they feel that way, and I want to understand why they think that way. Yeah. Because that tells me things that I don't know. And there's learning there. So if there's learning there, I want to lean into that. Yeah. Not battle them on it. I don't want to fucking have a dick swinging competition about whether you believe that and I believe this. It's like, okay, cool. And then I actually ask myself, why do I believe that? Is that something that's been inherently instilled in me since I was a child, or from my culture? And is what I believe actually the truth, or do I have it skewed? Yeah. Because sometimes we have these preconceptions in our life that we've got it wrong, bro. Like, we've got it fucking wrong. We've got the complete fucking wrong picture. But we're just it's such a pattern of events in our life that we kind of just keep going along the track. Yeah. It's amazing when you think about it.
It is, yeah. Yeah, I'm sitting here just going, fuck. Yeah.
It's true though. It's a true statement, mate. It's a true statement.
Yeah, and a lot of your behavioural traits and patterns and, you know, this and that, they all stem from when you were a kid.
100%.
There's this thing I remember reading, it might have been even through my old psychologist, or even through, it might have been through Lino actually, from men's medicine. When we can touch on that, even if we want, I think it would be great for mental health. I think he was telling me, it's like, you know, 0 to 7, you learn and develop all these things as a child, and 7 to 14, and 14 to 21. So it's like a 7-year span. Yeah, was that right? My math right there? Yeah. And in between 0 to 7 is when I think I can really resonate to this. I lost my dad in that time, and I struggled a lot, but I never knew why. I couldn't understand why. At such a young age, I was struggling and really, really battling. Then I got to 7 to 14. I started to learn all these habits, I guess, going into school and being around my environment. You know, you're a product of your environment. And then maybe, you know, like, I used to blame my mum for so much shit. Like, the way that I am, and the reason I do things and whatever was because my mum never taught me this, or I didn't. And there was a lot of things that she probably could have done better, but I never was. I was always focused on that rather than being grateful for the things that she did do for me.
She did the best that she could
exactly
in the situation that she found herself in. She just lost her husband. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was going through her own shit. How must she have been feeling as a woman?
Exactly. But you don't understand that when you're a kid.
You don't understand that as a kid, but you have to go back and understand it now.
Yeah.
It's like, mate, I've been through the resentment of a mum. Do you know what I mean? For different things. And it's like when you go back and then you think about, okay, before she had you as a child, she lost a child. How must that have felt for a woman to lose a child? Okay, now I understand why she's standoffish with me, because she thinks, is he gonna survive?
Yeah.
Is he, am I gonna come home one day and Frankie's died? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck me, bro. Like, there's a lot of nuance in it that you need to understand, but you can't go back and understand it until you're an adult. But if you're listening to this, you're probably old enough to fuck it, and you want more out of life, and you want more from yourself. One of the biggest key things to getting more from yourself is to go back now, and rather than looking that things that when you lost your dad, you might have been 6 years old, 7 years old, 4 years, right? When you lost your dad, you were 4 years old, right? You don't understand why your dad's gone. You don't understand that, right? And obviously there's a lot of mental things that have gone back, but now you can go back as like your age and assess it with different eyes, because you're older, and I think everyone should do that. I've revisited in the last 24 months a lot of places in my childhood that triggered the fucking shit out of me. Triggered the fucking shit.
I've done that over the last 6 months, bro. Like more so deep, on a deeper level in the last 6 months, and I've been able to do that with breathwork, with the help of others, and even down the road of psychedelics, to be honest with you.
How was that?
Have you ever done them?
Nah.
Man, so my whole life I was against psychedelics. I said I would never ever touch anything like that. You couldn't pay me enough money. Like, I'm talking.
Here's a question then on that. You say you were against psychedelics, and I would have said through my childhood I was against psychedelics, and I've never done psychedelics. But let me ask you, why were you against psychedelics? Because it was instilled in you, right? That they were wrong, right? That drugs are wrong. Yeah. This is the thing. Taught. It's a learned thing. Yeah. How many things in life do we have an opinion on right now that we don't know fuck all about?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And do you know why I'm not against them now?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot about it.
Because you know a lot about it, right?
A fucking lot about it. Yeah. And I've done my own research, and there's also like a mindset thing. Whatever's been instilled in my mind as a kid to now, I was like, I get a bit paranoid. I get in my own head. Is this gonna have all these like negative thoughts?
I want to try it, bro. I want to try it.
It's, bro. So like,
because it's a natural. It's not like it's unnatural. Like you brought up thinking drugs are bad, but it's not. But this is like psilocybin, isn't it?
Psilocybin, mushrooms.
Psilocybin, yeah, but it's natural. It's the most natural.
It's a medicine.
Thing.
Do you know why it's frowned upon? It's because the media can't make money off that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Those pharmaceuticals, they don't make anything. So it's they've put out to the public that these people get on these bad trips and go crazy and shit. It's like maybe people that take like 4 tabs of acid and then they're in a bad place, and there's so many things that play a part of it.
And these people are always at a festival when they're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going to learn about themselves in a controlled environment. Like,
and a lot of these people are like, I won't even dive into that. It's just negative stuff, and if you're in a negative like mind frame, then you're going to have a negative
experience. But
exactly.
if you go there with an open mind, I presume it's different. Tell me about your experience.
So I started opening my eyes to it more when I started doing breath work, and just like it kind of came to my attention, and I was like, still just like nah, had that ego thing about me, and I was like, no, I was scared. All it was fear for me. That's what I discovered. It was fear. It wasn't like I was scared, and that was it really. And so I started doing my own research. I watched a lot of, do you know Paul Stamets?
No, I don't.
So he's like probably the leading researcher on psilocybin in the world. Like, he's massive, bro. He's like he's the GOAT, and he does a lot of stuff like Joe Rogan. So I watched all his podcasts and just did my own research. I probably spent like 16 to 20 hours worth of watching YouTube videos and researching articles and this and that. Yeah. And then there's a really interesting Netflix documentary called Fantastic Fungi, which I encourage everybody to go and watch if you're against mushrooms or not. It doesn't matter. Watch it. It's amazing. It goes for about an hour. And after watching that kind of summed everything up for me that I just researched over the last few months into one documentary. And I was like, wow. I was like, man, I want to try this. So I actually started microdosing, which is like literally like a fourth of what you would take before you would, go on a trip. And what I've been experiencing with this is amazing. Like you don't.
So is that company in Byron Bay? Life Cycle?
No, so that's not microdosing. A lot of people think it is. It's like those are like the extract from the mushroom, and
right.
I guess it's kind of microdosing in a form, to be honest. Yeah, but it's different.
You actually mean microdosing on the hallucinogenic
on the magic mushroom. So I have like a bunch of magic mushrooms, and I just put a small amount into my drink every morning. So I get the benefits from it, but not a trip. I don't. Nothing happens. Nothing really changes. All it does for me. There's like 3 really good benefits. One is the colors and the sounds just enhance that. They're like heightened. You feel it's just amazing. It's really beautiful. The second thing is you feel really, really happy. Like you can't really explain it. You just feel good. And the third thing is it's the focus. I get really creative. I wrote a song with my friend the other day, Joel, my business partner, in about an hour. And it's probably going to be the song that I release soon. It is a fucking banger, bro. Like, and that just from that. And I wasn't tripping. It was just, the
creative flair,
bro. It's amazing, and so I do that.
Is it something you can buy from a shop, or do you have to buy it illegally?
Well, I think they're still illegal, because of what they are and the name they have. You go and pick them. People go and pick them. You get them from cow droppings. You go and pick them out of cow shit. That's literally where you get mushrooms from.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I get them off a friend, but a lot of people go and pick their own, and you just. So I've kind of done a full trip, but not enough to be like sending me to another dimension. So most people have like 1 to 2 grams, and you'll have like a bit of a trip, and this is kind of what people call it, like a healing or a spiritual.
You can't
journey.
have a balcony when you have a trip, can you?
I probably wouldn't. No. Probably not a good idea.
I'd probably end up thinking I could fly and fucking jump on the
I've got this. A lot of people go out into nature. Like that's where you want to be, on the beach. Like when I did it with my partner. We went on the beach. We kind of fucked up because it was lockdown. There was cops around, and we were pretty paranoid because the cops. It was silly, but we laid there and we kind of got like maybe 3/4 of a full trip. And the colors, like the sky, they just brighten up, bro. It's like getting your phone and turning the brightness up. That's what it's like. And we could hear everything. The clouds.
Does it hurt? Or anything?
No way.
No pain or anything?
No, bro. All we could take from it was the most beautiful experience. Like, so it actually unlocks all these neural pathways in your brain. That's what it does. It releases things. It helps people heal because they understand a lot of things from their childhood, their trauma. Like, there's crazy benefits. Like, people fully change from this stuff. And what I learned was, like, it made me so present that now when I'm just like, if I go for my morning walks, I'm looking around and I'm just like, I appreciate the beauty of everything. Like it's amazing. We were at the beach and we went for a walk and we were just like, wow, just looking at everything going, this is fucking beautiful. Like, and we weren't like tripping out of our head. We were still able to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so you really have to know how much you're taking though. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there becomes a dose called like a hero dose, which is like 4 to 5, 6 grams and above. And that's when I think people start seeing like geometrical shapes and they go into like another dimension. That's when it's like mythical. People have like life-changing experiences on this shit.
Imagine me taking the wrong dose and I see a fire-breathing dragon at burning heads.
You're doing a podcast and you thought you had a microdose and you're like, bro, your face.
Fucking hell, honestly.
Yeah. So of course you've got to do these things with caution. It's like anything in life. You've got to make sure you know what you're doing. And but in terms of the microdosing thing, like anyone can do that. It doesn't change you. It doesn't affect you in any way like that. You just those 3 things that I said. You feel really good. You're focused.
I'm gonna get some mushrooms off your mate Dave.
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, Dave. Don't worry, we got you.
It's a beautiful thing, bro. And it literally the science behind it. You do your own research anywhere. It helps cure and like stop depression, anxiety, all that kind of stuff. It has for years, bro. It's amazing, and you can understand why because you feel really happy on it. Like I went to the gym the other day. I was training with my partner. This is actually the first week I started microdosing. It was a couple months back now, and she looked at me, and I remember her just looking at me, going, "What are you laughing at, smiling at?" or something like that. And I was like, "Well, it was in between my set. I was just sitting there like catching my breath, and I was like, what am I?" She goes, "Yeah, you just got like a big smile on your face." And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize this. Looking around the gym, the colors were nice, and like, you know, you just feel really good. And that's
so when you do mushrooms like that, can you microdose every day for your whole life?
So you could, yeah. So the thing is, there's a lot of different methods, and this Paul Stamets guy that I was telling you about, he has a couple of methods where you can microdose at a higher dose. So like, say you were to have like 0.5 gram, and you do that every 3 days. So just once every 3 days, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, slightly less, which is what I do. I have about 0.2, 0.3, and I do that 5 days on. So Monday to Friday, then I'll have the weekends off.
I bet it helps you dream like a motherfucker too.
It does, bro. It does. I mix that with the Life Cycle Lion's Mane, a lot of those products. And bro, it's like you go into these deep sleeps and like
I've asked them boys to come on the podcast. I think his name's John, isn't it? John?
Yeah, I think so.
One of them, the owners. Yeah, I've asked him to come on the podcast.
Yeah, bro, get them on there. They'll blow your mind with some of the stuff they know. I only know this much.
What do you find you get from that lion's mane stuff? What kind of?
So they all have different benefits. Lion's mane is it's good for like cognitive function for your brain. So it's really good for a lot of people use it for dreaming. A lot of people use it for focus. So people have it in the morning, and it kind of helps them focus depending on what they do for a business or whatever throughout the day. Helps me with my creative side. Like I definitely, if I'm in the studio after I've had it or I'm doing music, I got attention span of a goldfish. When I'm in the studio doing something, I'm just focused. Put my phone away. I'm rehearsing. I'm doing this or whatever it may be. Whereas if I don't do it, I can tell. I know the benefit. You know what I mean? I know straight away. So,
and it's not even expensive, is it? Like a few $100 and you get like 5 different ones, don't you?
It's so good, bro. There's another one called cordyceps, and that's like you kind of use it for energy. So I don't drink coffee. I've never been a coffee person, so I'll have that in the morning, and it gives me my energy. Like I could wake up and feel, oh fuck, I probably could have slept a little bit longer, and I'll have that, and then within 20 minutes, half an hour, I'm buzzing. I feel good, and it's not like as in like I've had pre-workout. It's like a natural. You just 100%.
So
bro.
It works in tune with your body rather than like it's been bolted on. It just works with you.
It's good. And then there's this other ones for like your gut health. Your skin and your nails. It's all different. All these different mushrooms have different benefits for you, and these all come from the ground. These are all things that have been around since the beginning of time.
I know, and they've been demonized because it's easier to sell someone a pill than it is to sell something that's natural.
Yeah.
But like all the things in the world that will fix your health and fix you internally and fix your mindset are all natural things that have been passed down for thousands of generations. Meditation, breathwork, mushrooms. All these kind of things, they're all like naturally available. You can go, like you say, you can either buy the mushrooms off your mate Dave, or you can go and pick them out of pick them out of a field, can't you? But like they're still natural. Like people got to understand, like we as a society and as children, we were taught to demonize things that are actually better for us than the things.
How backwards is that, bro?
Like we would happily have a Coca-Cola that's worse for you than mushrooms. Yeah. Like it's true though. It's fucking true. Yeah. It's fucking true. Like Coca-Cola is worse for you than mushroom.
It's the number one. Do you know what is in Coca-Cola? Sugar. It's the biggest killer in the world, bro. Like anything sugar. Like if you know your shit, you know what I mean. And this is why I loved being able to go on this journey. And I haven't even been on this journey for long. It's only going to get better and better for me of going down the psychedelic road or psilocybin, whatever you want. Like I haven't explored into like LSD or anything like that. I probably would never go down there. Maybe not right now, but I said that about mushrooms and look where I am now. So
you're a full-on mushroom addict.
And I'll come back on the podcast in 6 months and I'll be like, hey bro, you want to tap?
No, like mate, honestly, like I definitely want to try psychedelics.
Yeah.
Because I've never done drugs, but I think that if I am going to do one, that is the kind of drug I want to do because that's a natural drug. I'm not exactly going to ever become a cokehead. Because that's just not the type of thing that I would fucking get involved with.
But there's no benefits on that either.
That to me just says that you're insecure and you want to get away from something. Whereas mushrooms tells me you want to know something more deeper about yourself.
And this is what psilocybin does. It unlocks this like the perspective on life, so it changes a lot for you. That's why a lot of people say a lot of my mates that have recently done it or done it for a couple of years on and off or whatever, they say their biggest thing is they don't sweat the small shit anymore. It's kind of like whatever their perspective, that they're able to tap into themselves and go back into their childhood and fix problems, understand problems, which is honestly why I wanted to step into this, because of my trauma, my childhood, a lot of things that I've suffered from that people don't understand or people don't want to understand or even I don't want to understand. So that's why I have chosen to do this for myself, and the benefits so far have been fucking amazing, bro. You had Mitchy Orville.
Yeah.
He's a good mate of mine, and he actually kind of helped me through making a decision to feel comfortable with mushrooms as well.
I see he's doing mushrooms.
A lot of the boys do just microdose, and they sometimes do their own like ceremonies and stuff where they do like a full thing. And like
Mitch has been on, and if you've not listened to that podcast, go and listen to the Mitchell Orville podcast, because Mitch has been on a hell of a journey, and I've met Mitch at different points in time. Obviously, the point in time he's at now, and the point in time when he was at his old self, and the new self, and the way he's recreated himself in his current environment is an incredible change for a young man to make. And I can't say enough. I can't speak more highly of him for doing it.
Yeah.
And this is another thing as well. Like I was saying this about to you, I think before the podcast. It's like you got to understand, right, that some people say Chriddy was coming here today. Some people might say, "Oh yeah, I don't like that Frankie boy. I knew him 2 years ago. He's a wanker." But it's like I was saying to Chriddy, right? It's like in 30 days, if I change at 1% daily, I'm a totally different fucking human being in a month than I was the month before. It's 100%. Like everyone says human beings can't change. They fucking can if they decide to.
Yeah.
You can really change your life if you decide to change it. But it's like it has to be you wanting to change your life.
Yeah.
And Mitch Orville is a perfect example of a man who's gone fucking from one end of the fucking spectrum to the other end of the fucking spectrum.
Yeah.
And when I see him get some hate on social media, or someone post a negative comment, or fucking send him a negative DM, I'm like, those people are just people that followed him for the old Mitchell that was years ago, and they're just throwing shade on him now.
Yeah.
Like the man's a totally different person to the person that you knew right then. Just cut him some slack.
Yeah, and back then he was doing a lot of funny pranks, and he was living that like on his old man, and it was all funny prank content, and so that was the audience that he got from that. And so when they see him on this like spiritual journey, and he's actually changing, he's becoming a really good person. He's trying to do good things to help other people.
Just a good human, mate. Like
we're all, people hate it. They hate it.
Yeah, people. Yeah, I actually. Sad thing to say. More people can. It just pulls out all these different haters. But once you start getting rid of them, getting them off your list and all this kind of stuff, and start clearing all that shit out, and start moving yourself away from it, there is a lot of people that actually do resonate with it, and it's more real. More real people resonate with it. It's people that are willing to deal with their own shit resonate with it, and people that haven't dealt with their shit will judge. Yeah. Because it's like 2 years ago, I'd have probably judged you for doing mushrooms. Yeah. Because I was a different fucking guy. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff that I hadn't approached then, so I wasn't as open minded to other stuff. Because my mind was like this, and I'm working every day to bring my mind out wider and wider, so I can get more perspectives on everyone's opinion. But you have to be willing to do the work to get the bigger perspective, so that I can understand your point of view on mushrooms. So that now I can say, oh, maybe I'll try that then, because I can understand it. Yeah. But if I don't give you a chance to speak about it because I've got my own pre-decided opinion from when I was a child, like my dad says, don't do fucking drugs, Frankie. He said, don't do drugs. Mushrooms are fucking plant. But everyone classes it as a drug. Yeah. So there's put that connotation in my head. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like old school, man. It's like you got to be open to seeing it all. And
it makes you feel more comfortable too. Like exactly what you're saying. Probably not even 2 years. A year ago, for having this conversation with you, and you were talking about psychedelics or mushrooms or whatever, I would have been like, I'm not interested. And that's such a like closed-minded comment to say. It's like, but why? You know what I mean? Like, why not? Like,
mate, there's so much stuff on this podcast that we've talked about that this is the reason I don't do question and answer podcasts, because this is deep. This is like a lot deeper stuff. Like, you can't plan this shit. No. I didn't know I was going to be talking about mushrooms. I didn't know we were going to go into depth and mental health and fitting in and fucking posts and all this stuff that we're uncovering through going deep. And you uncover it because you're fucking fully present as well. Yeah. Like when me and you are like present in the conversation. Someone was telling me the other day that 80% of your fucking entire day is spent thinking about the past and the future, and neither fucking exist anymore. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you've not even.
so true.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and you could just spend that whole time being completely present and grateful in that moment.
Yeah.
Again, sounds woo-woo, but when you fucking get what I'm talking about, and when you line up with what I'm talking about,
It's not woo-woo at all.
You'll have a fucking way better life.
Yeah.
Because you'll stop putting yourself all that external pressure on yourself, and you'll stop judging yourself. The day you stop judging yourself about your past is the day you free yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, you made a mistake. Yes, this thing happened to you. Yes, that didn't work out. Whatever. Forget about it. Times have changed. It's led you to where you are, and it's going to lead you to where you got to go to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a powerful thing when you think about it.
And isn't it funny how everything that's woo-woo or, you know, you're against is... It's that way because until you understand it, or until you choose to understand it, or open your mind. Like, if going back on psychedelics and stuff, it was, to me, I was like, "Woo, this, you know, you're in your own little world." And then when you understand it, you're like, "Fuck, that is amazing." It's like, hang on, just before you were judging me as like I was some weird outsider, and it's like,
mate, look, listen to me. I've never done a psychedelic, right? I've got no experience in it, but I'm listening and I'm learning, and I'm like, I'm open to hearing what you've got to say about it.
Yeah.
There's no judgment here about it. It's like, cool, you do that. Cool. Tell me about that then. Tell me about that. Give me more information. I want to understand that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fucking say, and have an opinion on something I don't know about.
Yeah, and I'll always encourage, you know, anyone that's listening to this.
You've got to do your own research.
Of course.
We're not telling everyone to go and microdose on.
It's not advice. It's not medical advice.
We're not giving no medical advice. Don't sue me for that fucking shit. Like, seriously, I'm trying to help you, but it's just all about having an open mind to other.
That's what this conversation is about.
This conversation today was meant to happen for me and you, to allow people to open their mind up to conversations that they probably should be having in their own lives with different people in their lives. Simple as that.
Yeah,
and that's probably what the message is today. It's like, that's as simple as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, just before we obviously depart this, like, just give people an insight into what you're doing now musically and stuff. It's like, what's going on in your world now?
Yeah. So at the moment, I've recently just formed a duo with one of my good mates, Joel Adams. Incredibly talented, probably one of the most
X Factor,
talented.
wasn't
Yeah, years and years ago, back in 2012, and then he moved to LA, lived over there, and was working with Ryan Tedder, the lead singer of One Republic. Probably the best songwriter in the world, to be honest, Ryan Tedder. So Joel's got a lot of experience through him, and he's brought all that knowledge back, and just working with him is fucking incredible, bro. Like, I've never met someone as talented as him. Like, he can write like 15 songs in a day, and they're all bangers.
Do you reckon you boys will write more for other people than perform yourselves?
He will definitely. I'm not so much a songwriter myself. I can write songs, but like, you're either one or the other. It's very rare you can find someone who can sing and songwrite like Ed Sheeran can. Joel Adams, he can, bro. It's very rare. So, we formed a duo, and we just do a lot of like weddings, functions, you know, a few private. We do a lot of work together, and it's good. It's good fun. We work really well together. We have a lot of fun, and that's pretty much what I'm doing at the moment. And then I have, you know, my own little solo gigs and stuff that I do here and there. But as for an artist, I'm in the mix right now of writing some songs. I want to release an EP by the end of this year. I said that last year and I haven't, so I want to make sure it's this year. But I also want to make sure it's me. It's perfect, you know.
Keep that promise to yourself, though, bro.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Keep that promise to yourself.
I want to make sure I'm ready too. I don't want to just go. I want, you know. That's why I don't put a time frame on it. I'm just like, by the end of the year, I should have it all done, and I want to. And we've got some stuff in the pipeline that's going to be amazing. So I want to release like my EP is going to be, you know, 4 songs, probably 2 songs that are like, you know, me talking about basically like my relationships with people, or just me as a child growing up, just really that deep shit that people can relate to. And then I want a couple of like happy, positive songs where it's like, when I broke through that and this is the outcome. So I want the best of both worlds.
So the EP is a journey.
Exactly. And people can relate to all part of that, and if they can't, they will when they get through their shit. That's what I'm doing at the moment. And just working hard and getting more experience under my belt, doing more gigs. Setting myself up,
and this is what it's like as a musician, because it's like the same with Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran was singing outside of banks in the UK and Norwich and doing the hard yards and just putting it in. It's like that's the point in time you're back to now. You know what I mean? You've been on The Voice, you've been on this other talent show, you've done this, you've done that. You've had some forms of success there. You've come off the back of it. Now you've got to go find your own path again. Yeah, exactly. And when the world opens up, you'll probably change countries and do something abroad as well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll be open to
collaborations. Always am anywhere, but I want to, you know, this couldn't be at a better time, to be honest, that I work on myself, my own music, and really develop who I am as a person, not just an artist as well, over the next like 6 to 18, 24 months, when the world does kind of become somewhat normal again, or whatever happens, and we can travel and do shows and stuff, I'm more than ready. You know what I mean? It's like you've had this opportunity for 2 years to be ready. Why are you not ready? I want to make sure I'm ready. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, what people got to understand as well is like the weddings and all that, all the functions and all the like the when you play at the Star Casino and stuff like that. You're just compounding reps and experience, singing your own songs, doing covers, doing this, doing that, being versatile.
Practice.
So you're practicing the art of being an artist, right? That's what you're practicing the art of. It's like people get it twisted that they're not going to do weddings, they're not going to do this. It's like, no. When you're an artist, you just got to write and perform.
Yeah.
And wherever that happens, if that happens at weddings, then that's what you've got to do to get to the next level again. You do that. It's
those 1%ers. They all add up. Michael Jordan always said that he was so successful because he failed so many times over and over and over. He hit the game-winning shot because he missed so many game-winning shots. Like, that's what it is. And I know, again, for some people, it's kind of like, woo-woo, cliche, whatever. But it's the truth at the end of the day. The reality is you put in the work, you will be the best at what you do eventually. And Kobe Bryant, before he passed away, said it too. He's like, you should be in the gym if you're a basketball player, working on your craft if you're a musician, whatever it is, your podcast, 2 hours, at least 2 hours a day. Some people say 4 every single day. 3 months time, how good are you going to be at that? 6 months, 5 years, you know what I mean? It's like, if you're just working on if I'm just singing, practicing in my rehearsal room for 1 day a week for an hour, I'm missing out, you know what I mean? And in a year's time, I'll be a little bit better, but it's you got to put the work in.
How's about this, right? This will sum it up for people on that point. You talk about practicing every day. It's people reach out to me on Instagram and they're like, Frankie, how did you get so confident on camera? How did you get confident talking on podcasts, all this stuff? It's like, well, one, I'm doing the reps on the podcast. But it's like, even when we were on the way up in the lift, right? And there's that older lady at the back of the lift, quiet as a mouse, right? And I made a conversation with her because, one, I've made her feel included in the world, and she might not have talked to anyone that whole day. Because she might have been ignored all day. So one, I've connected myself with another human being, and the truth of the matter is, it's about if you want to get better at talking, have more conversations with more people from different fucking backgrounds.
I love that, bro. I actually thought you knew her, so I didn't. That's awesome. That's beautiful.
No, but bro, she's in her 80s, bro. Right? No one might speak to her for the whole fucking day.
Yeah,
because we're all too fucking busy thinking of ourselves.
And she was almost shocked when you did too. Like, how nice was that? She was like,
I was like, how's your day? Like, what you got planned? Like, just try. But it's like, why? When you have the opportunity,
why wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's like me and you were talking, and I didn't want to ignore her.
Yeah.
Because she is another human being in that lift.
Yeah.
And I just, it's like, but for every reason, I did that for inclusion of her. On the other side of the coin, what do I get back from that? One, I feel better because I feel better because feel like I've made a dent in, like made a day, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I'm also sharpening my conversation sword because I've started a conversation with an 80-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And I'll start a conversation with a 21-year-old geezer in the lift, and I'll start a conversation with a 35-year-old woman at the checkout. Just because that's sharpening the sword of communication, right?
Yeah.
You've got to be able to communicate with all different varieties of people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that is the honest answer to the questions that I get in the DMs. It's like, how do you become a better communicator? Have more conversations.
Do it, yeah.
How do you get better at singing? Do more weddings and do more things. Sing more, perform more. That's why you're at the casino.
And on that, like literally going off the back end of that is, like that whole repetition thing. I probably didn't want to do the voice at first because, as I said, it was judgment. It was fear. I was scared, and that's it. There's no. I can beat around the bush all I want and bullshit anyone. It was that, and I was like, well, I'm only going to get better if I just throw myself in the deep end. And I do that with everything I do. That's how I operate. Not everyone does. So I was like, fuck it. I went on the show. I talked in front of camera. You have to speak in front of cameras. You speak in front of people. You have to sing, perform. I hated it. It was like because it crushed me. I was like, I'm so anxious, but it made me so much better as a result. You know what I mean? And I only got better because I did these things. And I was people just go, people know they're going to get better at things the more they do it, but they don't want to because it's a fear. Fear holds everyone back. But you were only born into the world with 2 fears.
Yeah.
And it's the fear of, you're scared of the sound, I think it is. I can't remember what the other one was.
Probably the fear of death.
Maybe, yeah. I remember reading this the other day. I probably should have got that down pat before I come on the podcast and try and drop a quote. But I know it was sound and something else, right?
Yeah.
Everything else that you develop in your life
is all based upon other people's things that are inherently taught to you.
And it's in your head.
100%.
It just goes to show how powerful your mind is, where you can
100%. Yeah. If your dad berates you since you're a kid, you'll always feel like you've got to prove something to the world.
Yeah.
And it's only when you start doing the work, when you're a little bit older and start to understand your true self, that you'll probably realise you need to remove that kind of stuff out of your life. And it's like those little patterns.
Yeah.
Mate, honestly, if this conversation doesn't impact quite a number of people's lives, I would be fucking shocked. I'd be fucking shocked.
And just before we finish, I want Just
kind of
go back to where we were.
Yeah.
I as a kid, right? Everything that happened to me, I didn't have a terrible life, you know. But the thing is, you can't compare yourself to everybody's life. Like somebody might be living in Africa with no water, and that sucks. That's probably the worst thing. The point is, everyone goes through their own battles, and you have your own struggles as a kid growing up and whatever. For me, it was losing my dad. It was all these things, and I had abandonment issues as a kid, and I still do. I had rejection issues, all these kind of things. Abandonment was my biggest thing, and until I blamed my dad for it. I blamed my mum. And one thing I learned, and I actually learned this from Gary Vee. He says it too. He's like, it's actually not bad to blame your parents, because your parents can be the blame for why you are the way you are. They taught you these things, but you are responsible for your actions moving forward. You are responsible for how you feel, what you do, how you treat others, how you change things, not your parents. You can blame people and be like, fuck, my mum never taught me manners. My mum never taught me how to save money. That's the truth, right? Then she is to blame. But you're responsible for fucking going and learning how to do that now, not her. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I'm starting to learn more and more. Like, I've got these issues, and as we all do, and I've got my pros, my cons. I'm responsible for me and me only, and I've got to stop blaming people. I've got to stop with this. I'm hurt because of this and this and this. Yeah, that might be the reason why. But for me to be a better person and to move forward and to help myself, to help others, and to make, really put the mark that I want to on people's hearts on this planet, I am responsible for what I do, and I need to acknowledge that and take action. It's that simple.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
And on that, if you could leave, if you just had to leave like one piece of advice then to the world, like if you're checking out today and had to leave one piece of advice before we step off this podcast, and it's to leave through the generations, what would you say to them?
I feel like I just summed it all up.
I know, but like, like if you pinpoint it, if you're really
honestly, my biggest thing is to be kind. That's the biggest thing that I have learned. I was about to say something different then, but that just came to me. That's what made me is to be fucking kind, because you don't know what anyone else is going through, big or small. You can make somebody's day, no matter how fucked up you are or whatever's going on in your life. Be kind, because it's so easy and it costs nothing. And that's I've learned that the hard way. I've dealt with my own shit, and I've just dealt with it negatively and been angry, and that was my only outlet, you know what I mean? But what I've learned is people that are going through their own shit and they apply empathy and then they're kind to me, they could be battling the worst thing you have, indescribable things. But to be able to show that kindness and be kind to somebody, it's such a good trait. Like, you can just be having the worst day, but you just know how to be kind to somebody.
Yeah, man. And you, like I said to you all, right? I say to you all now, every day you wake up on this planet, you get to choose how you want to be in the world that day, how you want to turn up, who you're going to be, how you're going to impact the world, whether you're going to be positive, whether you're going to be negative, whether you're going to empower someone or disempower someone. Every time you have a conversation with any other human being, you never leave that person the same. You always leave them better or worse for meeting you. You never leave that person the same. So always remember, between every conversation, you are leaving someone better or worse. Make sure 90% of the time you're leaving them better, and I think you're going to make more of an impact in the planet.
100%.
I think that's the simplest thing I want to say on that, right? I just want to say, guys, thank you so much if you've got this far in the podcast and you've listened to me and Chriddy. I hope we've dropped some absolute fucking bombshells on your ears today. If you can do me a favour, message Chriddy, message me, let us know how that podcast went for you. Hope that hit your ears at the right time. I hope there's some stuff in there that you've resonated with. If you can share this on social media, if you can put this in other people's ears, like share the content. At the end of the day, there's no monetary gain on the back of doing this content. We do this content, we put our time in because we're trying to add value to the world. And all I expect in return for that, well, I would like to expect from you in return from that, is if you do get some value from it, is to share it with your friends, is to share it on social, is to drop a review on Apple Podcasts. You know what I mean? Go on the podcast app, drop me a review. I'd appreciate it. And guys, like, fucking hell, there's so much in that podcast, bro. There's so much in it, man.
Thanks so much for having me, bro. I learned a lot. I learned so much then, bro.
Mate, honestly, I learned too, mate. Like some stuff in there about mushrooms and stuff, and fucking, mate, just remembering the first time that we met all them years ago in the boxing gym, and knowing the two men that we are becoming over time and over radical implementation in learning. I'm just proud of us both for fucking stepping up to the plate. Because neither me or you were the same man 5 years ago.
And the thing is, for us, it's like almost like that's gone so fast. It feels like an overnight thing because we haven't seen each other that long. Yeah. But that's a 5-year journey we've both been on. Yeah. And how much have we both done and been through in that? That was a long time. And it just goes to show it does take time. It takes a lot of hard work, and you've got to put the yards in and do what you need to do. But perseverance, man. You will always, you know what I mean. You'll get to where you need to be.
If you're meant to eat at a certain table, you'll find the table. Yeah. You'll find the fucking table.
Don't ever give up. Like I know it's the easiest option to do with anything, but just keep going.
Like I say, guys, like I always tell you, fucking lean in to the things that light you up more, and 100%. You'll find what you're meant to be doing, and also you'll find what it'll monetize on the back end, or something will happen, and you'll find the money and you'll find the happiness. But just lean into what you're truly meant to be doing. Like, that's all I can say to you. And guys, all I got to say is much love. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Frankie Lee Podcast.